Like-minded people.
The culture, the craft, the conversation. Welcome to Like-Minded People, the podcast. I'm Fokus, a drum and bass artist with over 25 years of experience in the underground music scene. But more importantly, I'm a huge fan of MCs. This podcast takes a deep dive into the fascinating world of MCs from across the musical spectrum, hitting it from all angles, discussions, interviews, freestyles, and more. So if you share my love for MCs, or you're curious and want to find out more, you're in exactly the right place. Yes, shout to my Like-Minded people locked in, back with another episode. And you know what, today I'm joined by the one and only Peas. Bro, what's happening?
What's going on, mate? You good?
You good?
Yes, mate. All good, thank you. All good. Bit
Wicked.
ill. We battle through.
Ill?
Yes, mate.
What's up here?
Bit sick with it. Sick with the lyrics.
Sick with the bars.
That's it, mate.
Yeah, no, big up for taking time out of a hectic life to jump on the pod with me, bro. Looking forward to delving into your story because we've known each other for a little while now. We work together, we link up on music, become mates, but I don't know that much about your come up and your backstory. So I'm looking forward to getting into that. We're gonna have a little journey up and down the timeline.
Yeah, sick.
So
it's funny actually how much time you spend with people in drum and bass music or in whatever scene you're in, I guess, and how little you end up actually talking about each other, innit? Like how often you can spend long amounts of time with somebody and then I go, what do you actually do for a job? No idea. Do you know what I mean? About most people. So it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, man. That's it. And that's what I'm really keen for these conversations to just be authentic. And we obviously we're here to talk about MC culture and talk about you, but also whatever else comes up in the conversation about life is all good with me. But listen, before we sort of delve into your murky past, I want to share like my first, what I would call like my reference point, where you first came onto my radar. And I was thinking about this earlier, and whilst I can't put a date on it, not that it even really matters, you might be able to, and I know like you've been around way longer than this, of course, but my proper reference point for you was seeing you on the flyers for Fathom Audio boat parties.
Yeah.
So to anyone that's not familiar, yeah, Codebreaker and Sense are two highly regarded lyricists, mainly within drum and bass, but also hip hop. So if you're not familiar with Codebreaker and Sense, definitely go and check them out. But yeah, they had a not a crew, like a thing. What do we call it? Because it wasn't just them two. There was a DJ as well.
He's Obi-Wan. I think it was Billion before, wasn't it?
Billion, that's it. Yeah. So they were, they moved as a team, as a unit. And I remember seeing you on the Fathom Audio boat parties. So what I was keen, and it intrigued me. So what I'm keen to know first up is how did you end up emceeing on a boat on the Thames with Codebreaker and Sense?
That was a sick day, by the way. They had like half of the raise rig on this boat, and I think they got an official complaint from the council and people commenting, and they're never allowed back on that boat again because the rig was pumping. But it's a funny one actually. So it's through a number of links. So it's through doing Rebel Nights. So Rebel is run by Ben Obi-Wan, who is Fathom's DJ and also has known Al Breaker for years. I guess Matty Sense as well, but I think him and Breaker have been proper good mates for years and years. I think anyway, again, I don't know the full background of it, but that's how I understand it. And I got that through I got to know Ben through doing Rebel Nights. I met him first of all doing a Hexagon night. So it's a long link of going and doing a night, meeting one person, then going and doing their nights, and then at a couple of Rebel Nights, I got chatting with Al Breaker, and then I remember we done one at Mirror Arch at in one of the venues in Fire, and I remember doing my set and looking around and seeing Breaker watching me. And like, to me, that's a big old thing. Do you know what I mean? It's Codebreaker, like, who, would have listened to on Grand Theft Auto. He was on Grand Theft Auto, wasn't he? As part of the Moving Shadow. What was it? XFM, I think.
Was it called like MSX or something like that?
MSX, that's it.
It was like when on Grand Theft Auto, when, like you say, when the character like jumps in the car
Yeah.
can tune the radio to a certain thing. It was part of that, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Which is
yeah,
sick.
so
I mean, imagine that, man. That's amazing. And that, yeah, obviously a lot of people are familiar with Codebreaker through that. But yes, okay. So Codebreaker was there, like
yeah,
listening to
he was
your
just
set.
watching, and then as I was leaving that night, so whatever time, 4 or 5 in the morning, he's just come up to me, and I've spoken to him a lot around this as well. But he's come up to me and gone, "I think we're going to get you on the Fathom Boat Party," and I just go, "Nah," like buzzing about it. And then he goes, "Yeah," and it's the type of thing that you hear at that time of night, isn't it? How often do you hear, "Oh yeah, I'll book you, I'll get you down. I'll do a night in Copenhagen. I'm going to fly you over," and you go, do you know what I mean? No, how often that happens, and then yeah, true to his word, that I don't know when it was, a week or a month later, I get the news from Ben. Yeah, mate, you're on. See myself on the flyer and all of that, and it was sick actually. I did a little warm up set with Creatures, and I love Creatures as a DJ, proper like moody, minimal weapons, and just early doors. And I never told Breaker this, but. And I was standing with Creatures outside, and some a woman come up to me and goes, "Yeah, you were so good earlier. You were much better than the first guy who was on, which was Breaker." And Creatures goes, "Shut up, Shh, don't say that." It was funny, but yeah. So that was how I ended up on that, and then I've done another one with him down in Planet Wax as well. Got to know the boys pretty well over time, but yeah, that was a buzz for me, and that was a sick boat party, man. Honestly, it was so cool.
Yeah, I was just intrigued. I was just curious because I don't recall Codebreaker and Sense really ever seeing them working with other MCs particularly. Certainly not under the Fathom thing. So I just remember thinking at the time, right, fair play to P is like he's, to have a bringing on that. It's like a bit of a compliment, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, to get involved in something like that is so vocalist led as well. Like you can almost stumble onto a record label's night or something like that just by being on a track that really ain't got nothing to do with you. If that makes sense, you can easily get put on a track that gets put as one part of a four track EP, and maybe the label owner don't even like it that much, but chucks you on the night anyway because you're on that label or whatever. Whereas that getting picked by vocalists, like
absolutely
legendary
But
MCs,
I apologise. So I had a
Breaker and
slight
Sense to go
little
and
blip
do
with
the
my
night.
with my Wi-Fi. Then sorry about that.
No, that's all right, mate.
I just I've got one of these flipping, because I'm in my studio, which is in the garden. I've got one of these, the link extender things.
Yeah.
And I just realised I was actually connected to the house Wi-Fi and not to the link. So apologies about that.
No, all good.
Cool. Okay.
Can you hear my baby, by the way?
Yeah. What's going on? Is she all right?
No, it's fine. It's just their bedtime, isn't it?
Does she want to come on the podcast?
Yeah, bruv. Probably. It's happened on the other one as well, wouldn't it? It could just all of a sudden I'm just like, oh, sorry.
Look, this is real life. You're an MC, you're a business owner, you're a father of a young daughter. This is how it goes. Cool. All right. So listen, take me back to the early days. I want to know, before you were even called Peas, early musical influences. Like, take me back to a time when you realised that you had, a passion for music.
So music wise, probably later than other people, and with that, I've never been a particularly deep music person. Like, if you ask a real lover of hip hop what their favorite hip hop is, I don't know, they'd tell you some people you don't know who they are, probably. Well, that for me anyway. They'd say some real some rapper from New York in the 80s or whatever. I'd be like Eminem or 50 Cent. Do you know what I mean? That's who my favorite rappers are. My favourite album, Get Rich or Die Trying by 50 Cent, is a really good example of how deep, what deep level I go in most music anyway. But yeah, early doors, I used to listen to all sorts growing up. Went through a little rock stage and for a little gothy stage, probably like 11, 12, like year 7, year 8. Something
You're
like
a goth.
That. Mate, probably. I don't know if that's what you call it. But do you know what I mean? Like, when you didn't know who you were as a person, early doors.
Hold on, we can't just like move on from that quite as quickly as that. So with the goth thing, was that something you were embodying, like in terms of like the image and like the?
I mean, like yeah. So, but like whether there was
Because
just
if you did, I want to see some pictures.
Absolutely no danger of that. But I reckon I probably would have worn like some like big baggy black jeans, chain coming out of it. Do you know what I mean? Do you remember those times?
Yeah, man. Yeah, like the chain wallet type thing.
Spiked up hair. Yeah. At times and listen to I keep whacking my mic. Sorry. And listen to that kind of music. No, I mean not even anything that heavy. Like a bit of Linkin Park was my thing around that time, innit? That kind of thing. Limp Bizkit. Do you know what I mean? Obvious.
Yeah, mate. It's so funny you say Linkin Park because my son Dexter, he's recently turned 11 and he's got really into Linkin Park.
Is it?
And it was cool because we were out driving the other day and he put the one of the albums on. I think it was called Meteora. But it's so mad. I recognised every single song that came on, and I was like, wow, I never really remember listening to Linkin Park, but I really enjoyed it. The album's wicked.
Yeah.
So okay, so you got this sort of band background,
that sort of time. That sort of time and whatever. And then probably my old mate from school. Like I ain't seen the guy in years. My old mate Paddy used to be proper into his rap and hip hop. Like he was much more of a digger, someone who was ahead of the times, and he knew stuff. And he'd come into school and go, "Oh mate, you got." I remember him telling me about the game before the game ever come out. He goes, "Oh, there's a talk of this guy. He's got this proper catchy tune coming out. Dre's making his beats, and then come out, and then a little while later, How We Do come out. Do you remember How We Do by the game? This is how we do. Yeah. And then so he had the little look into all of that. So he kind of introduced me to a lot of that. Again, it's obvious hip hop, but I would have been 12 or 13 at the time, and it's not like you had a stream of stuff that you do these days, isn't it? People have to tell you about stuff, and you have to go out and hear stuff in those times, isn't it? You weren't served up a platter of information like kids are now.
And you'd have to go out and buy the music, right?
Exactly that, and that's what I was going to say. So he then took I remember one day we went into HMV, probably in St Albans Town Centre where I used to live, and he bought oh my god, what's Kano's first album called?
Home Sweet Home.
Home Sweet Home.
Is that the first one?
Home Sweet Home. Yeah.
With P's and Q's on it.
Yeah.
That one. Yeah.
So I'd never even heard anything like that really. Went and chucked it on my CD player in my room at my mum's house. And I'm thinking, yeah, this is all right. Like, this is cool. And that was really my first introduction to UK rap music. Never really heard anything apart from that before. And then you go down the route of then Boy in the Corner around that time, and really started to grow to love that sound. And over the coming years, move away from the American rap sound that I kind of liked for a bit, and really, really liked UK rap, and went for a phase of really liking grime. I remember when Chipmunk was still Chipmunk coming out, and he was 16. He had that freestyle I used to love. I can't think what it's called now. It was years ago. But yeah, going through a real period of liking the grime.
I know exactly the one you mean.
I can't
think of it now either.
Now, I reckon.
Yeah, go on.
I am the circular mover, T4 shooter. How does it start though?
There's a bit, I can't think of the flipping lyrics now, but he talks about, because it's got the sample in the beginning. It's like, who are you?
Saviour, Rudolph Raver, Chicken Eater, T-High Streeter,
yes.
Blaze Jumper, Adidas Sneaker, Parada Wearer, Lyrical MC Terror.
Terror, straight out the 90s era.
Yeah, bruv, mate. Naughty times, mate.
Come on.
Yeah. So I used to love that kind of stuff around that time, and this was years before drum and bass as well. Like I didn't get into drum and bass until much later.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. That's interesting. Let's come back to that in a sec. I was just thinking, because what you were saying, I think it's almost like a natural progression, very similar to myself and some other people I've spoken to. Like you tend to start off with the American hip hop, whatever's big at the time. For me, it was more like your Cypress Hill, your Wu-Tang, stuff like that, whatever. But you saying about the Game, Dre, Eminem. I don't know what it is. At some point, I just think like something about that UK sound really grabs your attention. Do you remember like what was going through your mind, or how it made you feel when you first started checking like Kano and Dizzy?
No, it was a slow progression into that, because thinking back, these are the times when you used to sit and watch the music channels. Like that's just that would be a wild concept to people now. You come home, chuck the TV on, and watch like MTV Base or like Channel U is obviously one for
Hey, Channel
the
U.
more UK side of things. But even you chuck on MTV Base or the Box, or there was
Box,
kids.
yeah,
Do you
yeah,
know what
yeah.
I mean? Loads of different channels like that, and you flick around till you see it. And I remember Typical Me by Kano used to be on all the time, and I didn't really like it. I literally have this very vivid memory of it coming on, and it was so simple almost in its format. It just seemed stupid to me when I was whatever age that was. You know, it's a Typical Me, and it
Yeah,
used to
quite a
bug me. And I
slow
never
one and a
used to like
guitar
it.
in it as well, didn't it? Like,
Yeah. And then, but I used to like Ghetto's verse. So I didn't used to like Kano's bit, but I used to be like, oh, when Ghetto comes on, because he's much aggier in it, you know.
more skippy and a bit more kind of
Yeah,
like, especially because
exactly.
then he wasn't Gets, was he? He was Ghetto.
Yeah, Ghetto, yeah.
And then there was a distinct, I would say anyway, a distinct difference between Ghetto of the early 2000s and the Gets that we know today. Okay, so yeah, what do you know what interests me as well? Like, you know, I don't want to go too off topic, but talking about certainly the Kano album. Obviously, he's an MC that came out of the grime scene, but it's not really a grime album, is it? And you were talking
No.
about liking UK rap, so it makes me think you weren't even viewing it as your younger self, like, oh, I'm picking up a grime album here. Do you remember like how you
I had
kind
no
of
idea. I had no
were you
idea
not
what it
even
was.
probably thinking about it that deep?
No, I mean, this is like literally my mate just going, oh, we've got to go get this. I don't even know where he got all this information from. This is the mad thing. I've got no idea. Where did somebody it'd be interesting to know the year actually that come out, because I'd feel like I was 12 or 13 or something like that.
I would take a punt.
Uh-huh.
And always happy to be corrected by any of the listeners. But yeah, I'll take a punt. It's got to be about 2003.
Okay, mate.
Are you Googling it?
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to go. Right, let's play the game. 2003.
Yeah, well, that's me. So that's me 13, yeah? So I reckon that's a good guess. That's what I said as well. Where is it? 2005. Oh, fucking hell.
2005, is it?
Yeah.
Wow, okay. Well, look, 2 years. What's 2 years amongst friends?
No, exactly. It means in my head I was 13 when I was 15. That's a big difference.
Yeah,
isn't it?
mate, it is.
Yeah.
Gauging timelines is
Yeah.
tricky, man. Okay, I reckon one, like you were saying about how, I wonder how your mate found out about it. It's like you said already, isn't it? It's got to be through things like Channel U.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. I just, like, it's hard to imagine a different time where you don't have this, like, we sat on my laptop here and I have access to every bit of information. If somebody goes, you tried that, I'd have a Google and I'd do a bit of digging, but he wouldn't have had a computer in his room at the time for 100% sure back in 2004, 2005.
How would you break down, for anyone that's not familiar with it, how would you break down Channel U from what you remember of it?
Well, it was a request. It was request, wasn't it? So it was always you text in and request a tune.
Texting in a number.
Yeah.
Basically, I suppose, actually, sorry. I don't want to ask you a question then butt in and answer it myself. So yeah, carry on. It was request.
Yeah, no.
Well,
so
I was just going to say, like,
you could pay to have your video on there, couldn't you?
Yeah.
I think that's
a bit like a paid video version of a jukebox, kind of, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a good way of putting it. Yeah, and then you could then pay for your video to go on there, but if no one requested it, it would have never come up, isn't it? It's a good format, really, isn't it?
But I think
should do that.
There's a really interesting documentary about Channel U. I can't remember if it was on. So I'm sure it's on YouTube. Everything's on YouTube, but. Yeah, it was interesting hearing people talk about it. But I think one of the key things is that it allowed UK artists to be. So 1 minute you could literally have the latest Eminem video, obviously like big budget American thing, and then the next one could be the man them doing a video outside a chicken shop in Deptford or something, and it's like a proper low budget grime tune. But that was sick because it allowed people to obviously get their videos on TV and build a fan base, but also it allowed the viewer the viewer for them to decide what's coming up next.
And the world was so much smaller then because of that. Like, there's just that one channel that does that, and you can't get your video anywhere else. So the whole, like, it'd build a proper local fan base, wouldn't it? Because everybody would know that guy from your town who had their tune. Like, there were a couple of people I can think off the top of my head from St Albans, or the St Albans area where I come from. Yeah, that had their tunes on there. So then if you saw them out when you're like 13, 14, 15, you'd be like, oh, that's like, he used to be Killer Impact from where he was. Big up Luke. Chris Kiss, who is a guy from Harpenden. He used to have
Yeah,
his
I've met
tunes
Chris
on it.
before.
Yeah,
I've met
he's
Chris.
from
He's
Harpenden.
still
Yeah,
doing stuff, isn't he? He's done some
yeah,
like
he does. He's
all
done
different
loads of
styles of
stuff over the years.
music. Yeah, I've met Chris
Um,
once. Yeah.
yeah, and there was like that, you know, and you'd be like, oh, it's like meeting a local celebrity when you're that age, isn't it? You go, oh yeah, you're right, mate. Give him a spud. Oh, you've been on Channel U, innit?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, mate, you're spot on with that as well. Talking about how things were kind of smaller then, because do you remember there was definitely like a time period where a lot of the tunes, especially the grime tunes, were all about people repping their ends, and there'd be like within one tune there'd be like the North London crew, then the South
Yeah,
London MC would come in, and they'd even do you remember? I think it
yeah,
literally was
yeah,
called
yeah.
Rep Your Ends.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sure the
yeah.
tune was called that.
Yeah, no, I know that one. And there used to be like from where we was it was top three in Hearts.
Yeah,
And you got tunes, yeah, top three in Hearts. Yeah, fucking like it. And it is funny thinking of how much smaller that is. Whereas now, you know, you've got unlimited videos, isn't it? Whereas it's not everybody watching one channel. You know, you can put something on YouTube and maybe a million
and the
people
quality
watch it,
control
maybe
was
one.
basically handled
Yeah,
by the listener to a
yeah,
degree.
exactly. Yeah,
Because like not in a disrespectful way, but some of the videos were shit.
yeah, yeah.
But it
But
was
it
actually
matter.
good.
Yeah,
Like it was
yeah,
cool sitting there.
yeah,
I was sitting there stoned out of my mind watching Channel U, and I wanted to see like the UK ones, even if we're like, this one's a bit like, what's going on with this video? Because like I don't think there's a platform now really that has that kind of like the big budget American stuff alongside the
no,
like
because the
the
world's so much
sort
bigger.
of
There's
street
one
level
for
UK stuff. Yeah,
there's one for each thing in there, and there's you've got unlimited. You can just follow that page that does. There'll be an Instagram page somewhere that says just big American music, and then that's what you'd watch. Or there'll be just old school rubbish off Channel U, like do you know what I
yeah,
mean? And
man.
you can just go and watch that or whatever's at your fingertips. You've got access to, which
Yeah.
obviously has its huge benefits. But when you're grumpy old men like us that yearn for the old days,
Oi, oi, what are you trying to say?
I think I said it, bro.
I'm older.
No, I'm joking.
I'm way older than you anyway.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Yeah.
So if anyone can take that title, but I'm rejecting that title.
If anybody could have it, it would be me, but I ain't having it. Fair play.
Yeah, man. So yeah, Channel
Yeah.
U, very influential.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
And yeah, look, anyone listening and thinking, what the fuck are they talking about? Go jump online and search up Channel U, because like it's quite nostalgic, and I think it's a good almost like educational piece around how people used to promote music and the A&R inside of it and all this kind of thing. So okay, so yeah, you discovered also, just to check, like I understood this right, you discovered Kano and Dizzy via their albums,
Yeah.
and then you discovered grime. Is that right?
I mean, this is a very, very hazy time in my life, if I'm being honest with you. The exact timeline, I'm not putting any guarantees on, but it was around that. I specifically remember hearing Kano, Home Sweet Home, and not having a clue what it was. Do you know what I mean? So that's early doors for me. And again, I was never one of them people that would be showing other people. You know what I mean? I'd always be shown and listen. So, but yeah, and then beyond that, I mean, again, around that time, where are you hearing videos and music? Channel U. Are you like Bluetoothing videos? Do you know what I mean? Like,
God,
is
that
that
was the
where
thing
you?
as well, wasn't it? People
Yeah,
Bluetoothing from like the
yeah,
Nokia
yeah.
phones
And like
or the
again, local.
Sony Walkman phones, and people are Bluetoothing things at school and
And that was early YouTube days as well. So again, local MCs, they'd have a little YouTube video, and you'd go on there and watch it. But I mean, I'm thinking it's YouTube anyway. I can't think of what other. MySpace, was that around then? Having your little MySpace
yeah.
video loaded on there. This is for local music again, rather than other stuff like.
Yeah, because when you think back and break it down, it's hard. Like I can't really remember YouTube not existing. I remember MySpace
yeah,
coming along,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I think YouTube has actually been around for less time than
I think it was like
my head thinks.
2000 YouTube was founded,
Was it?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but then it's obviously just gets bigger and bigger as time goes on. But
Yeah.
I'm sure I remember listening to those boys that I was just saying about from the local area on YouTube and seeing videos they'd literally filmed in a park. Do you know what I mean? Just no nothing, and that being like a thing in my head anyway, like a big thing. Do you know what I mean? Wish I was down.
Did
in
you
that
have a
park that
MySpace?
day. Yeah, I had a MySpace, yeah. I'd love to find it now because it would just be hilarious, innit? But it all got deleted. But also, when towards the end of MySpace, I had the first ever tunes that I'd recorded on there, which I don't have anymore. I don't have the recordings of. So they're uploaded online somewhere, these tunes. but obviously you can't get access to them anymore. But the first
Do you
ever
know? Do you
tunes
know?
we
Do you know
recorded,
where they are? They're
where?
they're on Tom's server.
Yeah, really.
You remember Tom from
Yeah,
MySpace?
he just sits there listening to all of the lost bangers that people had uploaded. He just cashed out, didn't he? What a bloke! Just
Yeah, I don't know the story behind
no, me
MySpace. It's
neither.
an interesting one. I wonder what did happen to it. So okay, so one thing before I'm keen to kind of know where drum and bass fits into the equation, but before that, because you're talking about St Albans, obviously this is all very local to me because I grew up in Hitchin. So you were essentially, whilst we didn't know each other, you were like 25, 30 minutes down the road.
Yeah.
So when I think of St Albans, I think of Manic FM and Manic Records maybe.
Yeah.
So was that part of your kind of growing up?
Not listening to it. No, I never listened to it. I went and did a show in Manic when it was Manic FM. No, it wasn't Manic FM. That was when it had gone digital. So I went in and done. What was Matey's name? He used to run it. I can't think of his name. But I remember him
I don't know.
coming in and telling me off because I was swearing. A lot of my first early lyrics were like heavily influenced by trying to be really rude and like, do you know what I mean? Like obscene stuff. And I don't mean obscene in like the real way, but you know, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to shock or make people laugh. And I remember going on the radio show there and just chatting these bars and mate coming in like, you can't, you can't say that on radio. And also you remember him saying you can't say Manic FM because they'd stopped, it'd gone into some kind of digital by then or something like that.
Do you reckon we're talking about there with the bars, like the content that you were initially coming with? Do you think that's the Eminem influence, maybe?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, and that'll always be a big influence. I mean, that was a huge part of my listening early doors. Was a lot of Eminem, the Marshall Mathers LP particularly. I listen to that now as well. Like I go back to that anytime. If I'm like, I'm just going to smash an album on, I'll listen to Marshall Mathers all the way through. I must have listened to it 1,000 times, I reckon. Do you know what I mean? It's just one of them ones.
Again, I've got to big up my son because he, aside from Linkin Park, which is just a little side thing for him, he's mad about Eminem.
Yeah.
Like proper. And obviously for an 11-year-old kid, like it isn't necessarily the most suitable music, but I got him an iTunes voucher for his birthday, and we went onto iTunes and found you can like just type in like all the, I can't think of the word now, like the censored ones, the clean versions.
Yeah, I was going to say, you censor out some of the skits. He's
got like a real, like most of his back catalogue comes with a clean version, but obviously you can kind of still tell what the words would be anyway. But yeah, so we're kind of like getting to you're talking now a bit about how when you first picked up the mic. So is this still pre you getting into drum and bass? What came first?
Definitely picking up the mic or the pen first is probably what happened. So my mate Sammy, who's Soup, and we used to be in a duo called Soup and Peas. That's later, but my mate Sammy used to have he set up a recording studio in his nan's loft in Bournemouth. So when I say a recording studio, you can imagine the type of thing that it is. Do you know what I mean? You got a mattress up against the wall. Do you know what I'm saying? Like a basic sound card, and not like a Fokus, right? Like most people have now. It's like what I've got here, but even more basic, and then running off a proper old school PC.
Big massive PC tower.
Yeah, and running Cubase, like an old version of Cubase. But a few of those, again, those boys that I was mentioning about from St Albans used to come over there, and he's my best pal. So I used to be there, and they'd come over and record stuff there. And then one day I was like, let me try and write some lyrics in it. And obviously, first few times, dreadful, but then someone was like, do you know what, that's actually pretty decent, and you go, was it? Do you know what I mean? Oh, you reckon that was good? That's all I need in life. Somebody tells me something's good, that's it. I'm putting 100% of my personality into it. Do you know what I mean?
So what beats were you writing over?
Hip hop stuff mostly, or a real mixture of stuff. I can't remember what the first tune. I remember we did a tune over a Nas beat. I can't think what the tune is now. It'll come to me later. But yeah, we recorded a tune over a Nas beat, that kind of thing, and then we did a tune called Jezebel. It was just like this pre-made beat where it goes like Jezebel like this, and had these verses in it. And I wrote this sick. I mean, it wouldn't be now, but at the time it was like cool verse about like just. I don't know, shagging birds, basically, I suppose. Do you know what I mean? It was funny at the time. And so we made a few tunes like that. And then, you know, you think, oh, that was quite fun. It was more just fun at the time. And then those are the types of things you put up on your MySpace and all of that. And then me and him then went and recorded an EP. I suppose it is an EP, like a 4 or 5 tracks with these guys in North London. So again, kind of hip hop, but they'd produce some of the beats. So it was like a kind of, like a proper project, and it was cool, you know, like we went and made some cool tracks, and those are what went up on my MySpace. So this is how early we're talking, you know, you've got like a cool MySpace. We got some basic artwork done and put that up there. And then that's probably about the time that I got into drum and bass. And I didn't fall into drum and bass necessarily through music. I fell into drum and bass through partying and what goes along with that, if that makes sense. So we used to go out and get mash up basically, and ended up going on my 18th birthday to Fabric. So again, I don't know who said to go Fabric, and maybe again I've got the timeline. Well, maybe I was listening to some drum and bass a bit at the time, but we went Fabric for my 18th birthday, which was Players in Room 1 and Dub Police in Room 2. So this is right around the time of the surge of dubstep, right? So dubstep's just coming in. Casper and Rusco in Room 2. And yeah, Players in Room 1. I just remember being like, and we went there to, like I say, to get mash up. So my memory again is pretty sketchy of it, but that's what we went there for. And then I just remember being in Room 1 and just hearing hype.
Yeah.
Remember, I don't know if you ever used to go to Players,
mate. Sets. Yeah, True Players at Fabric was like a Friday night. I don't know if it was monthly, but it was like I think it was monthly.
First Friday of the month, I think. Yeah.
Like Danny and the DBR boys and a few others, we used to go to a lot of them. And like, proper raving it up. I feel like Fabric, I feel like Fabric's like a rite of passage, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And I remember
if you're in the UK, or not even the UK, people travel from around the world to go to these clubs. But yeah, Players at Fabric was a vibe. So do you remember who was on the mic at that night at all?
No,
or around that era, like, do you remember who was? I remember you were hearing?
A real distinct memory of IC3 being on the dance floor. This is in Room 2, so it weren't that night. But after that introduction, we then started to go to Fabric. We went to Fabric loads and loads of times, and Matter as well around that time, which was another.
Was that in '02?
Yeah, massive, like huge.
I don't think I ever went there.
But I remember, IC3 being on the dance floor, very, very. Like, not in the booth, he had a big circle around him. Do you know what I mean? He's a big character in the IC3, just there. And I had my shirt off just because you're turbo mode, innit? And I must have looked like the right horrible skinny little kid, innit? Do you know what I mean? Just going like this, and him just going. I can't think of any of his parts, but innit, just having it out and thinking, wow, that's sick. But apart from that, I don't really remember. I was saying this the other day. For me, I never really knew who any of the MCs were, and I never would pick up lyrics in a dance. I'd never be sitting there listening to the lyrics. It was always just about that sound of, like, imagine like listen to GQ, right? You don't go, oh, sick bar earlier, GQ. You go, wow, the whole tone of you.
Yeah, just the whole vibe that it creates.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything. Yeah, no, I get that.
But so I don't really remember who that was. But that was how we started listening to drum and bass, and it was Jump Up to start with, and as that progressed, I remember going to a night at Area. And after one of these nights was when I met you the first time. You won't remember it, but I'll tell you about that in a second.
Okay, all right.
But we going to a night at Area and in Room 2. No, maybe it was at Lightbox or Area, and there was a Shogun night on, and Alex Perez played. This was early doors. It might have even been his album launch. So what was his album called? 1985. Yeah, that would have been 1985. Yeah. So when that come out and being in there, I was saying to my mate, I don't know about all this. I don't know about all this atmospheric rubbish. I want some whap whap whap. Do you know what I mean?
You wanted to get your shirt off and
yeah,
go
exactly,
mad.
mate. I wanted to see IC3 in the crowd, and I wanted to do you know what I mean? Headbutt a couple of people. No, I'm joking. Yeah, I remember them exact words. I don't know about all this atmospheric rubbish that Alex Perez was playing and all of that. And again, I didn't really know much about the music at these times. I remember coming outside from listening to Friction, and my mate going, mate, the mixing was unbelievable. And I was going, is it? Don't know, weren't listening. I was just off me nut.
Yeah, you're there for the party. You're there for the atmosphere and the vibe and the experience to get mashed and dance. And yeah, I think sometimes like you don't need to know that much about the music. Do you know what I mean?
No, exactly.
It can become almost like, like a bit chin strokey and a bit like you're there to soak up the vibe.
I struggle when people are talking about, like, once you get to this age and a level where you really, really know the music, which I do now, then you hear people going, "Oh, the kids don't respect the culture. They don't understand this and that." And I think, mate, when I was 18, if you'd have come up to me and said, "Excuse me, that's not respecting the culture," I would have, do you know what I mean? I'd have said, "Mate, I'm just here for me nut, mate. Like, what you on about?" Do you know what I mean? So it's always something that I think about when people are going, "Oh, they're not, the kids ain't doing this, or people ain't coming and supporting, or doing that. Like, when you're that age and that early stage in your music life, like I was, none of that really matters. You're going out to have a good time, innit? And the music delivers that energy and all of that. But
would you say that you've got a rebellious streak in you?
oh yeah, for sure. Not so much now. Boring now, isn't it? But but definitely back then. Yeah.
You've tamed it down a bit.
Yeah. Me and the boys used to mess about, mate. Yeah. I don't know what type of podcast will make this, but yeah, for sure.
That's that's the behind the scenes bit.
Yeah, exactly, mate.
So,
exactly.
Okay, so yeah, you've kind of gone from first experiences at Fabric.
Yeah.
Then you're going out to different things like you said, the Shogun thing, different clubs, Matter, area. I'm intrigued now actually because you mentioned that you were going to tell me about the first time that we kind of crossed paths.
So
tell me about that.
You must have done a night at Hardware, area for Hardware. Do you remember doing a night there?
Yeah. There was a period where that was like
it was a sick
that became the home of Hardware, and that was like a regular thing. Yeah.
So. Yeah, we must have been on the train home from there and see you. And I remember coming up to you and being like, "Mate, sick to meet you," and that, like, must be cool to do this as your job. And you go in, "Mate, this ain't my job." Like, it just, because it never occurred to me that the artists that we're watching there at that time don't do that full time. It never occurred to me that in my head, right, I'm there, like, and for some reason in my memory at that time, everybody was massive. I don't know if this is the same night, but I remember seeing Spore back-to-back Chris Renegade at the end of a Hardware. If you remember those guys, I don't know if it was the same night, but they were in the same club. And I remember seeing Spore and he looked massive behind the decks. And I remember seeing you on the stage in there thinking, "Mate, these characters are massive." And then I see Spore outside and I was like, "Oh, you're just a normal bloke, innit?" But
it must have been a real disappointment to see me on the train home and realise I'm only 5 foot 8 tall.
No, but I remember coming up to you and being like, "Mate, like, oh, it must be sick to do your job." And you literally going, "Mate, this ain't my job." You said you was a sales manager of somewhere or other, innit?
Yeah, I remember. I was in the fireplace game, man.
That was it. I remember it was like clear as day. This moment of me going, "Oh, what that?" Like, you're not like, and it was a real moment of realization that that's not a
shattered your illusions.
But not, yeah, I mean, kind of, yeah, but not in a bad way, but more like, oh right, that's not I don't know. It's just it's a real clear memory of me anyway. Just being on the train, probably me and all my mates, like, sketching about, going, "Oh, look, there's Fokus, mate. There's Fokus. Like, sick. How is it living on a private jet and all of that?" Do you know what I mean? And you go, "Brother, I work in Hitchin, geezer." Do you know what I mean?
That's mad. Yeah. No, mate, I get what you mean though, because when you're in the rave and you're, why would you think anything different? Like, you're watching people. I remember like being at Fabric and watching like MC Depp being on stage, and I get it. Like, you just assume that, you're there like fully in the zone, and this is what these people do, right? And that's why I think it is quite interesting to actually, if you ever get a chance to speak to people, just like, learning a little bit more about them. Yeah, man, that's interesting. Okay, so you were already like right into hip hop. Now
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
going out
yeah.
raving, getting into the D&B world. So kind of connect the dots for me around your MCing around this time.
So there's a real gap between the time that I was talking about of writing to making hip hop to actually doing anything drum and bass. We made a few drum and bass tunes. So me and Sammy again, we were Soup and Peas. We made a couple of drum and bass tunes, but they were like poppy drum and bass tunes. And the music that me and him ended up making, we added a really sick singer called Roxy in and changed our name to SPL, Sound Pressure Level, and we really had like I mean, I wouldn't like to play any of the music now, innit? We rather than going down the route of what true music is about, we were trying to do something that wasn't, you know what I mean? Trying to build something. It was a real Rizzle Kicksy poppy rubbish vibe. Some of the music was all right, some of the lyrics were cool, but if you go listen back to it now, we were trying to force something. And I mean, we did some stuff, we done like, we were doing 2 or 3 events a week in and around London, literally going and doing, like, we played the Rats Castle in Camden, and we played the O2 in Islington a couple of times and stuff like that. But like,
Okay, so yeah, you weren't like, it was a proper
yeah, mate,
thing.
we were
The way you were
trying.
talking about it, I thought you meant like it was a bedroom project.
It was the
So you're
first
actually
time.
out. Well,
And
yeah,
then,
but you're
yeah,
out
so
there performing. These are like
yeah,
big
no,
venues that
later
you're talking about.
once we added the singer in there, we got a full. So I probably missed out a load, but we've got we did a fully produced studio album, and then I say toured it. It's a loose word, but do you know what I mean? Went and done lots. I don't know how many shows we would have done, like maybe 30 odd gigs. I'm going to say over a year or maybe a little bit longer, and just got to the point where we get into like, I mean, I don't know how many empty rooms we played to, no joke, in it. One of them ones where you get a booking for the Rats Castle, for example, in Camden, and they go, how many people are you bringing? And you go, well, we're not bringing anybody. I played one on Friday and I've got another one on Friday. I don't have a loyal group of 50 people that are coming to see me 3 times a week. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Rent a crowd type thing.
yeah, literally. And that's a lot of music is made up of making money off other people that are trying to get famous. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah,
people are
yeah.
there and they'll sell you a certain amount of tickets for you to come and play. So they'll go, right, you're buying 50 tickets and you can come and play this venue, and then you've got to then try and sell those tickets, and if you don't sell them all, then they then make money back. So you're living in this little illusion that you're doing well, and then actually you're buying and selling tickets for somebody
That's
else.
interesting. Do
Basically.
you know, I'm not. Yeah, I understand how you're describing it, but I'm not really familiar with that being a setup, like a thing. I've not come across that before.
So particularly these 2 nights we done at the O2 in Islington. So the first time we did it in the smaller venue there, which is probably, I don't know, trying to think of how big it'd be, probably like the size of a light box, yeah. So, a nice size room. And again, they go, right, you're booked for this night. It's a company that does it. I can't think what they're called now, but yeah, you're booked for this night. You have to buy, to be booked for this night, you have to buy, let's say, 30 tickets. And you buy 30 tickets off them, and then you sell them tickets for whatever amount you want. And they'll go, right, so you buy them for a tenner each, and then you can sell them for 15, 20 quid. You can make, 100, 200 pound off these tickets. And you go, cool. And I think the first time we did it, and we like had this ram crowd to this, it was probably the best, before drum and bass, the best music moment of my life, that first one in that smaller venue. We're there getting screams for an encore. I'm standing on the crowd, like standing on stage like this afterwards. It was sick, you know what I mean? So then they go, cool, well done. Come back to the bigger one. And we'd already called in every favour of every person we knew. And this is where you get a disillusion. Is that the right word? Yeah, you get a disillusion that you're doing really, really well. But actually, anybody there was just my mates and my mum. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody that I'd go, we've got to sell these tickets. And then when you go up to the bigger one, which is more like it's a big old room. I reckon it's probably 500, 600 people. And then you go, right, this is like a month later. You've got to buy these. Well, right, this time we've taken 50 tickets. You've got to buy them. And people go, come last time, innit? I don't really
Yeah,
want to.
yeah.
And you don't actually have a following. You've just got your mates that are coming down. And then we ended up losing a load of money. And that's like, and there were other bands there that had massive crowds of fans. And you go, mate, maybe we're,
That's quite a tricky
mm,
model, isn't it? And
yeah, yeah.
I'm sure I'm right in saying this is before like social media as we know it today. So it's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
like you
yeah,
can be
yeah.
online every day, like punting these tickets about.
No, I mean it was Facebook times because I get the Facebook memories pop up,
Okay.
and it's funny seeing my Facebook statuses like from early doors, isn't it? Like, please come. It's not too dissimilar to now, to be honest, Rob.
I was going to
So
say, this actually is very similar to like
yeah, but
promoting
yeah.
in 2025.
Yeah, no, exactly. But and it used to be right. Make the Facebook event. You've got to get 500 invites out and all of that and stuff like that. But yeah, it was a funny time. And then really got to the end of it and realised we didn't ever build a following. We was almost trying to buy a following, and didn't necessarily have a niche of a sound. It was like very generic, kind of rappy, poppy music. And I don't think you can do too much. I mean, you can do, but we never picked up by a major label and pushed because we never had the numbers. And this was out of the time of gut feeling signings and into the time of how many numbers are you doing? What are you following on XYZ? What you're following on this? And we just didn't have it. So anyway, it ended up getting all wrapped up, and we actually me and him did a more hip hoppy EP later, but this is around the time I'm getting more and more into drum and bass, but given a big gap on that where I went and, over a few years of just partying and everything like that, living with my mates for 10 years, then just my mates who I lived with started Engage Audio, a drum and bass label. So shout out Dean and
Yeah,
Dean,
big
who
up
I lived
Dean.
with
Yeah.
for 10 years, and then Dave and my other mate Alex, who left the fold and moved to Australia, but they started Engage Audio and then started doing nights, which I then went down and MC'd at. So using my old hip hop lyrics, just started MCing down there, and that's basically how I got a break into doing drum and bass nights, is through Engage. So
Right.
did a
Okay. So
few.
it was this
Yeah.
back in like, was this still in Hertfordshire area?
No.
The
So I think
Engage
the
stuff.
first one we did was at Work Bar. Do you ever play Work Bar?
Oh, okay.
In
Yeah.
Angel,
That's
yeah.
in. Was it in Angel? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So the first night I think was Engage versus Synchronized, which is, do you know Matt Freeman? Um,
It
he
kind
is
of rings a bell, but I'm not
Yeah, Synchronized
visualizing
was
anything
his
in
label,
particular.
and we knew
Okay.
him from Southampton. My mates used to go uni down there, and we knew Matt from down there. And anyway, they did a Engage and Synchronized night at Work Bar, which I MC'd at. Which was cool, wasn't it? Like I'd MC'd a lot at home because we had decks and that at home, and I used to be the MC. So you get a feel for it, and you find the space and all of that, and enjoyed it. But that was the first ever time I played out, I think. Anyway, drum and bass night, and then from there, off the back of that, Matt Freeman then booked me for Synchronized nights, and then another Engaged night. I met Hexagon, who then gave me another opportunity down in Brighton and then in South London, and then that kind of spreads from there, doesn't it? If you're on the ground and you meet people that are in these raves, then that's how you spread across it through drum and bass. And then that was probably 5 or 6 years ago. It might be longer than that now, isn't it? Getting old. 7 or 8
Yeah, it's
years
interesting
ago.
how you're describing it. It's almost like a domino effect of
Yeah.
you started at this night and then you network or you chat to someone and they bring you down there. So were you doing things like giving out mixtapes and stuff like that, or seed? I don't necessarily mean literally a tape, but were you doing that? Was it very
Drum
much
and bass, you
through?
mean?
Yeah, like when you were getting
Nah.
onto the mic and getting bookings, was it really just through being in places
Yeah.
and then someone else books you for their things? So you weren't like passing out demos or kind of like pushing it from that angle.
No, I can give you very specific examples of where the links came
please.
from. So Engage was that one with Synchronized, and then that's how I met. That's how I ended up getting booked on more nights with Synchronized. So then I've got the flyers here actually. So the first one was Engage versus Synchronized, and then Synchronized, and I did a set with Data Free, and then the Data Free video done quite well online, and then I did Terrence and Phillip and Inmost for another Synchronized night. So that's kind of spread to those, and you meet people from those. There's a funny story with Terrence and Phillip and Inmost actually. I learned to always ask who the DJ is off this night, because somebody told me, you're on now, it's Terrence and Phillip. So I went downstairs in Work Bar and MC'd the whole hour set, going, yeah, big up Terrence and Phillip, and I've got lyrics where I fit the DJ's name in there. And then right at the end, matey goes, "What'd you say?" I go, "What?" He goes, "We're inmost." And I was like, "No." So I literally done the whole set, and they looked nothing alike either. I just didn't know, innit? I didn't know who they were, so you just go down and do
Let's
it.
see.
But yeah, so those are I met some people through those, and then another engaged night. I met the guys, as I say, from Hexagon, and Jenny and Alex were on Hexagon, but another guy, Tom, used to. I think he still kicks around with them. I don't know, but I remember him saying, "Can you shout out Hexagon on the mic in the calls?" This was one of our first nights at the calls, and I shouted out Hexagon, and then he messaged me afterwards and said, "Oh, do you want to?" No, thanks for shouting us out. And then I saw them post a flyer for a night that they were doing in room 2 at Volks when it was Metalheads upstairs on the Easter Bank Holiday weekend. And I messaged and said, "Do you need an MC?" And they go, "Yeah, if you want to come down and MC. We ain't got one. We won't put you on the flyer or nothing, but come down." So I drove from Norwich, where I was that weekend, to Brighton, picked up my mic in Hemel on the way, literally, I don't know what that is, probably 5 or 6 hours, probably something like that. Stop off at Hemel, drove down there, booked a hotel, and just MC'd all night down the stairs in room 2. Met Obi-Wan and Collective that night because they were on that night. So that was the first time I ever met them two as well. Also spoke to SP the first time ever that night. He was like, because he was upstairs doing Metalheads. Met Jesse Wrights that night. He was on the Metalheads lineup upstairs as well. And then off the back of that, I did another Hexagon night in Deptford, and Ben Obi-Wan was down there again. And ended up chatting to him outside, and he goes, "I'm going to book you on a Rebel night," off the back of chatting to him like that. And then that's how I got all the Rebel gigs, and that's how I ended up getting most of my gigs is through that and doing Rebel stuff, which is how I ended up on Fathom, which is the first question you asked me, innit? So all from the boys, my mates, starting a record label, wanting to get out there, just that little luck of break, and then being all right out and about doing it, and people kind of taking you on from there, innit?
Yeah, so like a really, really organic way for things to grow for you. And I
I
like the way that kind of loops back round again to
Yeah.
to talking about Rebel music, which is where we started off.
Yeah, and what I always say is, across that time period, I stopped getting mashup, which is like how I started getting into the music. But I stopped going out for that and started going out, more to go and enjoy the finer parts of the music and to speak to people and get to know what they're about. And then all of a sudden, you're not that geezer over there chewing someone's ear off or talking rubbish or whatever. You're now the guy listening to the music, having a conversation about it, or the guy who just done a 6 set and actually ain't off his nut afterwards, which a lot of people are in it in this scene in particular. And that was a big change of all of a sudden networking a bit more and having an idea of what's going on. Whereas 2, 3, 5 years before that, I would have been off my chops, clinging onto the rail at the front.
Yeah, t-shirt in hand.
Yes, mate, that's it. Top off, showing them ribs.
So it sounds a bit like, from what you've been telling me, that really, and you were kind of more inspired like by the hip hop side of things and bringing that rap style into the D&B world that you were kind of introduced to. But there has to be drum and bass MCs that, I don't know, at some point you either influenced by, or who did you start to notice? What MCs like did your ears pick up and you think, "Oh yeah, I like that guy, I like that one, I like this one"? Talk to me a bit about how the drum and bass MCs kind of fit into this for you.
So, like, no joke, this will sound stupid, but you're probably one of the first MCs that I really, really noticed. And that's why I would have come up to you on the train, however long ago that was. Like that I really vividly remember standing and listening to. Another one was Too Shy, actually, again, around that time. I remember this guy we used to go out with. We had a big group of people we used to go raving with, just going, "Mate, listen to Too Shy," and me going, "Oh, all right, who's that then?" Do you know what I mean? And having a listen, I've got a real vivid memory of listening and thinking, "Oh yeah, fucking hell, he's going in." And I've got a real clear memory of my mate Dean again, who started Engage, showing me this video of SP on probably a drum and bass arena video or something like that, and like couldn't see him, hat, hood, like a real good visual of what a drum and bass MC should be, hidden, and just like a really long, I mean, it sounds like really long, but much more eloquent written bars than what I would have heard when I was first going raving, like if it's Det or Icy or whoever. Where I'm not saying the bars ain't good, but they're not in that same style, are they? They're not in the same style that you
Different
write,
style, yeah, for sure.
or in the same style that SP writes. I suppose Too Shy is probably more the other way, but I don't know, maybe 50-50. But yeah, so really that writing style. And again, that makes sense, doesn't it, towards the hip hop side of things and the bars. But I mean, SP is the biggest one for me, and I'm sure most people would say the same. I think he's my favourite, to the point where I had to stop listening to sets with him on, because like I did it when we done a set the other day, didn't I? When we done one of the Flowcase sets, I said one of his bars in it, just joking around, because you say one thing and you're like, oh, that's one of SP's.
Did you?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Oh,
I genuinely don't remember that bit.
Oh, right. Yeah, like I think you shouted it, innit? You shouted the second lyric, innit? I'm sure it was.
Mate, I can't.
Yeah. Anyway.
My memory is.
But yeah, like I had to stop listening to it.
I don't remember
actually,
that. Yeah, I get what you mean, though. I get what you mean.
At the Bars Club meet-up that we done,
yeah.
Mantmas said something to me that stuck in my head since. He said, can't be listening too much to your peers. Can't listen to your peers, because it influences so much. And where we've been, and I listen to our sets so much, like I can do all of your lyrics, and I wonder how that's affected my writing process in my head, isn't it? Because it might have done. If I'm listening to, I'm listening to that for me, if I'm being honest. Do you know what I mean? But like where I'm listening to you so much, I wonder whether that's affected the flow in my head at all, because like your flow is different to mine.
Mate, it's an interesting concept actually. It's something I'd definitely like to chat to other people about as well. But I know like there's other MCs that I can think of that I won't bother naming. But yeah, I do think this is a thing. Like if you're going to go into a writing session, or if you're going to spend some time in the studio, I do think, like personally anyway, like one of the worst things you could do is like go really in on lots of other MC based music, because you know your mind is like a sponge at the end of the day, right? And things. But having said that, I think there's a big difference between being inspired and influenced and then just straight up biting and imitating.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
No, I completely agree. There's a I can't think what the exact quote is, but I can't think of mate's name now. But basically, this quote from that I remember hearing on this music documentary, where matey's like, I'll remember who it is in a minute. It's only like one of the most famous people of all time. I just can't remember his name. David Bowie. Couldn't remember who David Bowie is, yeah. But him saying like he's a collective of other people's music, influenced of solid influences from here. I really like that. I really like that. I really like that, and then built it into one of the most influential and unmistakable sounds in music ever. Do you know what I mean? So, and I think that's a really good way of looking at it. You're not. If you're going and biting lyrics off somebody or completely copying somebody's sound, but there's nothing wrong with taking heavy influences from people that you really like, innit? I mean, that would be the same if that wasn't the case. Drum and bass wouldn't sound how it is, because there are core figures that have, and that in production and in MCing, that have paved the way for then other people to break off bits of that and take it. And I think that's, from my perspective, if I really like how the first time I ever heard SP host a set, or yourself host a set, and I think, right, actually, I really like that. And even more recently, well, we've been working together, I've taken bits from you that might not necessarily be style related, but you've influenced me in the way that your outlook on the freestyling side of things and the not chasing perfection. And like you've obviously spoken about this a fair bit, but like, you know, not worrying about perfection, you know, I'll get a freestyle out regardless, because that's what the art is and all of that. That's really influenced me of late, where I'm then not focusing on that, because that's taking a bit of influence from you, isn't it? And that's the same thing as influence style, I think, anyway. I don't know whether that is the same thing or not, but
mate, big up, man. Yeah, I love everything you just said there. I love that. I think it's I think it's just not possible to not be influenced by the things that you're listening to,
particularly if it's like good, isn't it? What's wrong with being influenced by something that's good?
Everyone's influenced. Like no one. I mean, I don't know. Like maybe this statement isn't true, but I'll say it anyway. Nothing is completely original. Can anything be completely original? But that's not. And look, I'm the biggest, especially like as we're talking about MC art form and MC culture. I'm the biggest advocate for. Well, that's not the biggest advocate. It's not about biting. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, of course.
It's
yeah,
not
yeah.
about
No,
biting
of course.
styles at all. It's not about biting bars. That is something you should never do. But equally, I think being inspired by people, and also I like what you said there about people's energy kind of rubbing off on each other as well. I think that's strong. Like just being that's why it's so important to connect and interact with people in the flesh. Like be in the studio together. Yes, of course, like you can do mixes and record vocals for tracks and stuff like that just by sending files back and forth. And yeah, that is how a lot of music gets made. But something about being in the studio, like there's no way we would have vibed off each other's energy like that if we were just like you record some bars and then send me the thing and I go into my studio and record it. So yeah, and yeah, absolutely about the perfection thing as well. There's something very liberating about just being able to do the thing and then just let it go.
Yeah. Well, it was
and
a
like
real. Do
not
you know what?
overthink it.
It wasn't even the Flowcase sets where it was a real eye opener for me. It was when we went and done the Transparent and Yamatai radio show, and like. It's a real change of mentality from a couple of years ago where I'd have been not nervous, it's probably the wrong word, but very conscious of what I'm doing. And if I go to a radio show, in it, because a radio show is so much more recorded than a rave, in it. A rave, you know, you kind of lose. I lose myself if I'm emceeing in a rave. I don't really think about it. I'm just doing it wherever. But a radio show is very lights on like this. But when we went and done that, I remember coming in and you jumped on the mic before, if you remember. You was in there and I've come in thinking, right, we'd better be on point here. I know we'd driven up there together. We haven't really spoken about what we was going to do, did we?
No, not at all. No, it's just.
And you'll just go in, you just go in practice sessions, innit? Literally, that was what you was like. You was like practice sessions and just dropping freestyles and didn't get one quite right. Rescue it, come back with a more freestyle. And I thought, fucking hell. I literally stood there thinking, like, why was I thinking, I'm going to go in there and do this lyric and that lyric? Like, let's just have a good time. And then that was sick, innit, that show? I think we done 3 hours or something.
It was a really good show. Yeah, we literally just rolled out for just under 3 hours, just back and forth, no structure to it. And this is something that people need to understand as well, especially from a D&B perspective. We had no idea. I think there was 4 different DJs there. We had no idea what they're going to play.
No.
I don't think I'd worked with any of those guys before. I haven't even met 3 of them. So, like, you're very much thinking on the fly. Just it's something I want to ask you, actually, but just quickly, like, the thing that you just mentioned about saying, I was saying, it's like practice hours, practice session. Do you know who really inspired me with that mentality and that mindset? That sticks in my head as a Wiley thing. Just from being that kind of student of grime and watching things like Practice Hours and Risky Roads and like a lot of them guys, to be fair. But yeah, Wiley definitely like, boom, right, we're on radio, it's practice time, it's practice hours, practice session, let's hone the craft. I feel like I kind of got that mentality from him. But yeah, so what I was going to ask you is, and I'm glad you brought up that radio show.
Sorry, just while have you got grime bars?
Nah.
Because I know you've done that 140 track, didn't you? Or the tune that turns into 140. And I thought, fucking hell, focus on.
Nah.
With that. You did
but it's not really it's not like I'm shelling down 140, is it? It's not like I go in, I kind of do a little, it's almost like a 140 interlude. And I kind of just about get away with a little switch up.
So do you know some stock bars from back in the day? Like, you must do it.
I've got, right, here's a very quick interlude story for you because you asked, right? So back in about 99, I went to, my friend was at Hitchin College doing music production, and we made what sounded like a sort of, it was a garage tune, but it wasn't really garage and it wasn't really grime either. But anyway, and that's the closest I've ever got to 140. But we actually went to Music House off the Holloway Road and got it cut onto a dub plate.
Is it?
And someone, I think my friend John, big up JSK, I think he's got the dub. I hope someone's got it because I haven't got it.
In one of the intro podcasts.
Yeah. But I don't want to do myself down. Of course, I could write to 140, but I don't know, man. Like I don't feel like it's necessarily my strength, and I'm such a big grime fan that I'm quite happy. just listening to it. I know you've got the 140 flow. I've heard some 140 flavours from you, big time.
I've got a few. I used to like it if somebody had like randomly start smashing out a bit of house or techno or something, and just out of the blue, just going all right, and just absolutely killing some dirty old school battle themed 140 bars over the top of it, because it's a really nice tempo to do 140 over like a 120 130 tune in it, a bit like nice funky house in it, and then just going and battling the mic and just peppering it up in it with some grime lyrics. Man, I used to love doing that.
But we digress, because the thing I was going to ask you, because you're talking about radio, is how would you, from the MC perspective, the MC mentality, how would you differentiate in terms of the approach or what's required in that setting? How would you almost compare and contrast the radio set to the live club? Well, not the set, like how the MC, the role of the MC within radio compared to the role of the MC within the club.
I've found radio tough, much more so than in a rave over the years. Maybe because, I'm less so these days, but I used to go and drink a lot in a rave, and you kind of get stuck in the blur of it, and it doesn't really matter. You're there for the vibe, you're doing some lyrics here and there, you're hyping the crowd, you're having a laugh and being that visual and audio link and energy to the crowd, really. And then you go and do radio. And I suppose in the live stream era, it was a little bit different. If you had 100 people listening and you had the comments come in, at least you could do that. But doing recorded or blind shows, like, it's a real, I lost myself plenty of times thinking, what am I doing here? Like, what am I saying? Because your link work is completely different, isn't it? Like, normally my link between verses or between bars would be relating to the crowd or hyping drops up or something like that. But particularly in the early days where I didn't have a huge repertoire of bars, like I've got much, much more verses now, and longer verses and shorter verses and more experience. In the early days, I'd maybe have, 15, 20 verses, right? And maybe some of them I wouldn't know, 10, 15 comfortable ones that you can do. And you can do them in half an hour. And then you've got an hour and a half left of radio. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you go in there and you're a bit nervous and you don't want to wait, and like my nervous energy is to get going. Like, I wouldn't be like, right, I'll chill for 10, 15 minutes. I'll go, right, minute 1, 64 bars, but all my best verses done. And then you're kind of scraping your mind for the rest of it. So I really struggle sometimes with radio, because what is your job? Like, I don't know what my job is as much on a radio show. If it's about me, I can make it about me and I can do the same lyrics over and over or chat for ages. But there's not much going on when you're not doing something as an MC. You know what I mean? So if you want to be a little bit more held back, what are you doing? Standing there. Silence, isn't it? And you feel like you should be doing something because you're on camera quite a lot of the time if you're streaming something, isn't it? It's a tough one, I find. What do you find the same thing, or?
I think the thing you just literally just said there is really important, is around the camera thing, because back in the day, pirate radio is something I'm super passionate about, and I've talked about it before. But there were no cameras, so like like the connection to the listener was via the phone line and the radio, the music coming out of the speakers. And then in this kind of live stream era that we're in now, which is still, obviously there's pros and cons to everything, but I do sometimes feel that introducing the camera into the studio, and also because of the nature of, like, especially if it's being filmed and stuff, because they want it to look good, then there's the lighting in the studio needs to be really bright so that it looks better on the camera, and it becomes more about the visual element for the viewer's benefit, which I think it detracts from the experience for the performer to a degree. So I'd be quite happy. I'd be quite happy shut in like a little dark, hot, sweaty dungeon studio, just blasting out beats and not having a camera in there.
What do you feel the same as what I was saying about what do you do in between there? I know your style's different it interesting. To mine anyway, but
I was, as you were talking, I was kind of thinking, because initially I was thinking, yes, radio is a very different environment. Obviously, it's a very different environment to the club because there's no crowd. But then I was thinking, as you were breaking it down, is it that different? Are there parallels? Because, okay, in the club you've got the crowd, but on the radio you've got the listeners. you still need to host. There's a different way to host a club to a radio, of course, but there's still the hosting and there's still the bars. So I kind of think the elements are still, it's the same elements, if you like.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think this is the biggest difference, isn't it? With the crowd, with the live setting, you've got that kind of instant reaction / feedback. And like we said a minute ago, like you're in the room, you can feel the vibe and the atmosphere. There's a feeling.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas in the studio, especially with live stream stuff now, I mean, who really listens to live radio?
No.
So you could be doing the sickest show of your life, so to speak, and no one's locked in.
You don't get
they're listening back.
There was a little period where you'd have how many people are listening in it, and if you had a really good one, like we did Stay at Home Festival. Do you remember that during COVID?
Yeah.
So with big up Sliv and Goat Sheds, yeah. But we did a set on that. I think we had like 1,000 odd people listening to us at one point. This was with the Engaged Boys. Yeah, it was sick, man, because it was literally that summer, that first COVID bit. You had nothing going on, and we like snuck into my mate's garden. That's what it was like then, innit? Can't be outside. Snuck into my mate's garden. Went in his garage with his studio in there, and we'd done this 6 set, had like 1,000 people listening to that. And if you got 100 or maybe even 50, it's cool. But I've done ones where you're looking and it's like flitting between 1 and 2, and you're thinking, what are we doing here? Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
What is the point of this? Yeah.
And yeah, sometimes you don't even know if anyone is listening.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it? I kind of put that out of my head these days because I feel like
same.
When you go to the radio, you're almost doing it. I see it more like because that sort of live interaction doesn't really exist much. Then I almost see it like you're there to like record like an archive. That's almost how I view it. Like we're doing this, and it will be archived, and it will be sitting there, hopefully forevermore. But people will dip into it and listen back. But yeah, it definitely changes it, I think. But yeah, I suppose like because you asked me, like, I think my mentality really does come back to what we already said. It's like, let's just use it to practice.
Yeah,
but
sure.
I think there's almost that element of having to be, how comfortable can you be just standing there in a room not saying anything for a bit?
Yeah, that's where I struggle, and I even find that at nights a little bit. Like the promoter might come over, and you're there and you ain't doing anything at that moment in time, innit? I remember Lee from Alchemy coming over to me in Alchemy once, and I was just chilling. I think I was just having a chat with someone, innit? And I'm like, oh, it's like being caught by your boss, innit? Reading the paper or something, bruv.
Yeah, you
I'm like,
instantly put the mic to your lips and just do like a shout or something.
Yeah, but
do you know the worst? Do you know the worst one for that type of thing? I'm sure you can relate to this, or you might have a story or whatever. But it's the one where like you're rolling out the set, you're doing your thing with it, and then there's like some it's making me laugh actually, but like a topless raver at the front, right up against the railings, who's like, "Come on, do some bars, come on," and it's like, yeah, what do you do in those moments? How do you handle those kind of things?
Hey, I don't know if I told you the story specifically, but when I'd done a 4 till 6 set at the Volks in Brighton, and I'd driven down there, so I'm tired at 4 a.m. till 6 a.m. set, and it was following on from Groove Rider and Star One. Star One's sick, yeah, like most energy, like sick. Like buzzing MC, just brings the hype all the time, and Groove Rider's playing straight redliners, do you know what I mean? Just booting the rig out. And then I've come on afterwards, half asleep, and there's literally exactly that, the front row going, "Come on, give me some bars." And I'm like, mate, like, nah, innit? I don't know. And I'm trying to do a little bit. I'm nervous. I'm half asleep, and ended up just chilling for a little while, innit? Let him get warmed up. And then late, because mate, you were so disappointed in me because I've come up with no energy. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm hosting in my head. I've come up with no energy whatsoever, and you could see him there going, "This geezer's shit, innit?" I literally could see it in his face, and thinking after Star One, just smashing the place apart. And then later, mate, he come up to me and goes, "Fair play, actually. You was actually pretty good. At first, I thought you were shit. But you were actually pretty good in the end." "Oh, cheers, mate. Yeah, thanks. You didn't help, to be honest." Do you know what I mean? But
no,
yeah,
I can relate to that. I could definitely relate to that. And like you just kind of alluded to, it's very easy to get in your own head about it.
Yeah.
As well. Like I'm more than happy to be open about that, in the sense that, yeah, you're standing, and also like what doesn't make it easier is that transition between sets where there tends to be some natural ebb and flow between sets where like doesn't matter if it's high energy or this, that, the other. Like that DJ and MC or whatever finished, people go out to the smoking area, they go to the toilet, they go and get a drink, whatever, and you get that kind of natural, like I said, ebb and flow. So that doesn't help. And then if you've got someone like a very enthusiastic raver telling you, commanding you to spit,
enthusiastic raver.
but I think that's what can you do? Like I suppose that's where you're the MC. You know what you're doing. You know how you like to roll out. You know what your style is, and I guess it's being true to yourself, isn't it?
Where that's a wicked thing, when you're there and you're in the thick of it, and then someone comes up and goes, "Come on," and you go, "All right, I've got one loaded actually," and you just and then you've got sometimes got a little crowd around you, people going, "Yeah," and then you're like, "Oh yeah, this is sick actually." But when you're like, "I'm just chilling actually," like for a minute, or there's like somebody playing a vocal tune or something like that, or people going, "Give us an oggy, oggy, oggy," and you're thinking, it's probably not my style, actually, mate. But
I feel bad asking you this, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Have you, in the history of MCPs, be honest, have you done oggy, oggy, oggy?
Never once, mate. Never once.
Nah,
do you know
I knew
what?
it. I knew I shouldn't have asked.
Nah. I
should have just had faith.
At the cause once, I had this lad bugging me for the mic for ages and ages, because at the cause they used to have the cage there, and inside they had no monitor, and if you were inside, you weren't coming out the monitors, just couldn't hear anything. So I used to go outside and just stand in the crowd next to the cage, and this lad was there bugging me for like all night, innit? Do you know what I mean? Kept coming up, come on, all his mates going, "Mate, he's a sick MC, come on, give him the mic. And I thought, you know what, fuck it, innit? Give him a go. And I've literally passed it to him, and he's gone, "Oggy, oggy, oggy," and I've gone, "No!" Grabbed the mic off him, and I was like, everyone's going to think that was me, innit? Because he didn't do nothing else. That's all he done. And I tucked my XLR.
Do you know what kills it though?
Yeah.
Do you know what kills it is, and I've got my own version of that story, but when that happens and they get the best energetic crowd reaction of the whole night.
Everybody,
and you've been there for like 2 hours, you're crafted bars, weaving in and out, doing like proper things, and then the oggy oggy just brings the house down.
All of the little youths go, "Yeah, thank God for that. At least somebody's going to do it." Do you know what I mean? This geezer waffling on about bloody the characteristics of astrology. You know what I mean? All we want to hear is some oggies, mate.
It's a very interesting beast, drum and bass, isn't it? Because like this whole podcast is not, excuse me, I've got a cramp just coming to my leg.
It's all of that marathon running, mate. It's not good for you, I'll tell you.
Oh, mate, I'm still recovering. Honestly, I still feel beaten up, and it was over 2 weeks ago. It'll be three weeks this Saturday, and I'm still mashed. Sorry about that. Yeah, this podcast is not aimed purely at the world of drum and bass, but for kind of obvious reasons. Then a lot of my friends and people in my initial network are from that world. But anyway, the reason I'm saying that is drum and bass is a bit of a different beast. And I think it is worth highlighting because, and I'd like to get your take on this, but when you look at hip-hop, definitely hip-hop, it's more artist-related, isn't it? In the sense that quite often an artist comes out, an MC comes out. I know that there will obviously be exceptions to the rule, but they'll come out, they'll perform some tracks. They probably already know what tracks are going to perform. Yes, of course, there's battle rap, there's freestyle cyphers. They come out and they'll do their set and come off. Grime is quite similar in the sense that you get showcase sets and stuff like that. But I think the point I'm rambling towards is that with drum and bass in the world that we inhabit, especially, it's not uncommon to do 2, maybe even 3 hour sets with 3 different DJs, all playing completely different styles. Don't know how they mix. So you've got to know. One of the skills of a drum and bass MC is you've got to know how to navigate that. What are your thoughts on that,
mate? I find it mad, and like the amount of people I've MC'd for, DJs that I'd never spoke to before or after. And like, it's not like if you'd have asked me before I ever did this how that works, I'd assume that you got introduced, or it was people that you knew each other, or people that were recommended, or the DJ would reach out for a chat, or there'd be like
you walk in and the promoter goes, "Right, come with me, right, Peas, this is DJ XYZ." And hello, how you doing?
Like literally, but at least that, or at least have some kind of chat. I've made a real effort in more recent years to reach out to DJs first. Like I did one with Jay Kenzo recently. Fucking
Yeah.
chuck that in there because
Where was that?
at the Volks, innit? I went and done all night
Did
down
ya?
there for Delirium.
What was
yeah,
he
done.
playing D&B or like
Yeah,
140
jungle
stuff?
set, mate. It
Yeah?
was honestly incredible. Yeah, it was so
Come
good.
on.
I thought I was
Sick.
going to take it easy for him. I was doing all night in it, so I'd done 5 hours. I thought I was going to take it easy for him early, and I ended up just going in, mate. He was killing it. But yeah, like things like that, I reach out and say, "What are you going to play?"
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't know if he was going to play 140 and all of that. But yeah, but yeah, thought it was mad. Like you turn up and like I'd just be on stage already, and then the DJ would turn up and you go like, "All right, like." Over the decks, you all right, mate? Yeah, all
It's
right,
a tricky one, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think a lot of that, yeah, I'll just say it, like, I feel like that's etiquette for me. It's like standard etiquette.
Mm.
I know like other people disagree or whatever, but yeah, for me, it's like basic etiquette. Yeah, just like you said, check in, at least introduce
Yeah.
yourself. Hello,
Yeah,
I'm Phil, I'm Focus, I'm emceeing your set.
yeah, exactly.
And then what I expect from the DJ in return
Mm.
is for them to at least communicate simple little things. For instance, like
Gonna
I'm
mash
playing
a
my
vocal
last tune now.
Oh, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I'm out on the front of the stage, like connecting the crowd to your music and all this kind of thing. At least flipping tell me when you're about to play the last one. Like that, have you had it where you must have had it where the music just stops
Yeah.
and you turn around and they've already unplugged their headphones and
Yeah.
they're like, you know, halfway out the flipping venue, and you're like, oh,
The
okay,
worst one, like you just need a little nod, like he was speaking to the DJ or whatever, like let's smash it up, yeah, cool, we'll have a sick one, and you're there doing an intro, and just slam a vocal in, and you go, fucking hell, man, just give me a heads up in it. First tune's a vocal tune, by the way, bruv. Don't do intro bars in it because you ain't gonna know that that's coming in. All right, yeah, it's a brand new tune, by the way. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, it's a funny one. I would have thought that there would be more communication and connection there. But you're right. That is 100% one of the skills. Is understanding the structure of the music so that you can work around whatever's happening in it. Because, you know, like if you can really think in phrases with drum and bass, you can understand phrases. And quite often, if I like to build up to drops and like build vocals in before drops, and you can do that even if it's tunes you don't know with DJs you don't know, generally by just feeling through the phrases in it and keeping in with them 16-32 bar blocks, which you can generally do with most DJs. And then beyond that, if it's someone that's got lots of music out there, I'll try and listen to one of their sets beforehand as well, so you get an idea of what kind of stuff they're going to play. If it's going to be like really vocally stuff, and you know whether to keep it more minimal or whether it's, you know, more minimal stuff and you can go a bit heavier. That's how my brain works anyway with it. But it's tough, innit? You know what I mean? You got to work it out as you go.
Yeah, for sure. The navigating your way through 2 or 3 hours of controlling the mic is definitely challenging.
And particularly,
but we love it.
You know,
we love it. I do think it's like a very, it's to me like the idea of like doing. I mean, even for some like people from different genres, maybe like the idea of doing an hour set might be that's quite a long time. But for me, like an hour's a myth. Like it takes me. I'm not, and I don't want people to think I'm moaning. I'm not even complaining because I don't really want to just turn up and do an hour.
Nah.
Because that for me, it's like, God, flipping hell. It takes me a little while to acclimatise. And like you were just talking about, the set kind of goes through different, you've got the intro bit, you know, the set has its different, it kind of flows. So yeah, I think 2 hours is a nice time.
Yeah, agreed. It'll be interesting to see how the Bars Club night goes. I imagine we'll talk about this in more detail in a minute. But those sets,
definitely we will.
Shorter blocks, isn't they? Because you've got one DJ and one MC, and they're going to be shorter sets. So it'd be interesting to see how that pans out. I was thinking of messaging the DJs and be like, sorry, it's only going to be like I think they're going to end up 45 or 50-minute sets. And I thought, hold on, the DJs fucking do that anyway, didn't they? It's the MCs I need to worry about. People are, like you say, used to doing 2 hours or whatever. But yeah, we'll see.
No, but we'll definitely come back to Bars Club before we wrap up. One thing I was just keen to ask you is that, you know, through this conversation, you've kind of described your journey really from, you know, being like a kid writing raps, getting more into like you described this other sort of like band you were part of, or that would you describe it as a band? That other,
I don't know.
Yeah, the
Pop
band. Let's
group,
just call it the band, right?
Yeah.
So you did that, and then you kind of like dabbling in sort of 140 and stuff like that. So you've gone into like different areas, but what is it about drum and bass that you have stuck with it? Because you've obviously found your home within drum and bass. So it feels to me anyway like this is kind of like your thing now. Like, what is it about D&B that's clicked for you as an MC?
It's I mean, it's the best kind of music, isn't it? Like, I don't really know how to explain
Why?
it much
What
more
would you
than
like
that.
about it? Like,
Well,
what does it
it's
do? What does it do for
it's
you?
very technical. It's very, very widespread. There's different drum and bass for every single day of the week and every single emotion and all of that stuff. You know, I can think, right, today's a murky day, mate. We're going in here, or you can chuck on something a bit liquidy for a summer day. You know, you can play drum and bass that your mum will like, or you can play drum and bass that your mate has just done 10 years inside or like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's such a spread of it.
Yeah.
And the technicalities around drum and bass and the real fine tunes of it is what I like. And then it suits my rhyming pattern as well. But yeah, I don't know really. Beyond that, it's a feeling more than anything in it, and that comes from those key years of being in the rave, you know, being that rave or going to the dances, having those feelings of those incredible nights, and then listening back like to the sets and the music later and just getting that feeling again. And I think that'll always stay with you during those core years where you really carve out a personality. That's what I was listening to, and I suppose probably a lot of it is it nostalgia? I don't know, but yeah, that's once you get to a certain age, then that's what you like. And I was listening to other stuff as well. Like, I don't listen to drum and bass all day. I listen to Six Music mostly, which has obviously everything, just to keep your ears fresh in it. Because I don't know, maybe some people do, but I couldn't listen to drums all day. I'll go, right, I need some drum and bass music today. That's how it'll be, and turn off Six Music, which has might be playing some German dubstep, might be playing some classical flute. You know what I mean? I don't know. And put on some dirty 170, baby. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. What's yours with that? It's an interesting question, isn't it?
What's
your relationship? Why drum and bass?
Yeah,
why drum and bass?
I think it's similar to what you were saying in some respects. Like, I listen to more drum and bass now than I ever used to. All I used to listen to was grime, and then before that, it's kind of like UK hip hop.
Mate, why? Let's make a grime tune, man.
Yeah, maybe.
Like, you don't have to be grime.
I think it would be a fun project.
Yeah,
I think it would be fun. Fun.
I'll get a beat.
Quick caveat: we probably won't ever do this.
Mate, I don't know. I'm a doer, bruv. I'm a doer. You'll have a beat for me tomorrow.
Yeah, you are a doer. I'll give this man his dues. He has shown me on multiple occasions, like before I've even closed the laptop, he's gone and done the thing or got the ball rolling. So yeah, mate, no, big up, man. Like that is something that inspires me about you. Actually, you are definitely a doer.
I'm a doer, mate. You'll have that beat with you. But anyway, yeah, go on. So what was
But yeah, no, I think, look, the simplest way to put it for me, like, all I was really saying is that I do listen to more drum and bass than I ever used to. Yeah, I think nostalgia's a big part of it. I definitely found in the last couple of years really enjoying like dipping back into the stuff from the 90s and that. And I just think I think drum and bass is it just brings together so many different styles of MC, from the more like jungle end of it, where it was like more like the ragga and sound system influences, through to all different styles of spitters in 2025 that have got more, I would say, conscious flow. That's not the right word. Just
more
just
lyrical,
different types of content. But the one thing that I love about D&B, and you kind of just said it yourself as well, is there's a certain type of D&B tune, and you just don't get it in every other genre. I know other genres have got their bass face tunes or their screw face tunes, but when you get that certain type of D&B, I would call it like a dungeon beat, but that screw face tune in D&B, yeah, it just can't be touched, and it just brings something out in me from an MC perspective that just hits, man. It just
Structure in
connects,
it,
you
mate.
know.
Structure. It's such a good
It's just
example, mate. Structure with you and Skeppy in it. That tune, mate. Honestly, as soon as it goes
yeah, you
different
reckon? Yeah,
structure, mate.
yeah,
Just the
yeah.
drum pattern on that is so gully, in it. It's just, and then
Did
it's just
you
you just go different structure, and I'm just like,
do you wanna know something that I don't reckon you'll know this, but you
yeah.
might do. But there's actually I was talking to Ant TC1 about this the other day. There's actually a VIP version that we made
Is it?
that's never come out, and that
You got
I
it?
haven't even got it.
Ah,
I don't even know if Skeptical's got it, but Ant TC1 went and got it cut on acetate, and he played it once at Volks.
is it?
It's like a two-step version, more of like a rolling beat pattern, and we
Yeah.
did it just for a laugh. And then, so yeah, but no, I don't really see it as a dungeon tune that much. I think there's definitely like grittier tunes.
Oh, I like
But
that
yeah,
one.
man, that's what I love about D&B.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
what we
exactly.
were talking
Yeah,
about,
yeah,
isn't
fair
it? What
enough.
draws you to D&B. So, right, one more thing I want to talk to you about before we talk about Bars Club
Yeah, yeah.
is I'm just interested to know what your approach is to, or what your writing process is.
Mm.
I'm fascinated by how different MCs approach the creative element of basically writing bars, writing
So it's changed over the years,
the lyrics.
actually. I used to start and I'd have to have a first line and then I'd just kind of go from there. And the first line would generally give the theme. So like I wrote a verse, one of the first verses I ever wrote to one of them hip hop tunes that we did before, that the beat that we got was called Infinity. So I come up with this line, I'm lost in infinity. And then from there, it's just a bit weird, innit? You can talk about whatever in it. Just, do you know what I mean? So that's how we used to write. And then the rhyming pattern would kind of flow as I went. Whereas now, I tend to have an idea of what I want the subject to be about, roughly anyway. Like it might be a tune, like a lot of my bars are about self-obsessed, do you know what I mean? A bit about me, or some of them might be about the music, or it might be a club but lyric, or whatever it is. I've not got an idea of that, and I'll write down all of the rhyming pattern words that I can think of. So let's say I think of I'm just trying to think of something here, but whatever it is, I'll maybe pick a 2 or 3 syllable rhyme. I've got one written here actually. I'll just have a look at it in it.
Wicked, yeah, that'd be
The
great.
2 or 3 syllable rhymes. I've got like my ideas page here. So sometimes I won't even have a theme yet, and I'll just think of a rhyming pattern and I'll start writing them down. So I can't find one now. This is good, isn't it? I had it all ready to go. No, that's not one either. But yeah, so basically I'll write down all of the things that rhyme from there, and then I'll then piece them back together to link it all together. So if I've got this is a good one. So making the way, I'll write down stuff like making the waves, making a name, wasting the space, wasting away, raised on a lace, ways on a waist, raising a case, race to a chase, race on an ace, all of these things, right? So as many as I can think of just in my phone, I write it down, and then I'll then go back and put them in order. So I'll put them down the bottom and I'll think, right, I'll get the first one. I've got gravity flows. I've written down making the waves, and I think, right, how can I relate making the waves to something, making the waves or making a wave? I've got gravity flows because gravity creates waves. And then making a name, like Kardashian shagging, I'm just making a name. So I just fill in the bits. So I'll pull them up and I'll think, right, how can I link that? And then the next one's wasting a space. So I'll go, got my name on some flyers. Am I wasting the space? So I kind of get the rhyming pattern first. So you know you've got cool rhyming patterns. And I know I've done this for, like, this goes on for that. You can't see, can you? That like a whole thing of just raves out to space, craving the taste, acres of space, rearranging a phrase, raised from the grave, chasing the shade, aiming to place, raise on an ace, all of those. And then I just basically go and piece it all together with the links, which is, I think, the rhyming's one thing, isn't it? Finding rhyming words is one thing, but piecing them together with wordplay, with attitude, with like a level of competence and a bit of comedy as well, is what makes a really, really good verse for me. I'm just going to turn the light on because I'm getting a bit...
Yeah, go for it.
There we go. Yeah.
Mate, that's fascinating.
Mm.
It's interesting actually, because even though we've worked together and stuff like we've said, yeah, I didn't know that's, why would I? But I didn't know that was your approach, and that's really interesting to hear, and I think other people would definitely be intrigued by that. And so, just so I understand it, like are you with all that stuff that you've written down and all those different rhyming words that you just came up with? Was Is that almost like an exercise in getting the brain working with like all the different rhymes, and then you'll pick bits out of it? You're not going to use every single one of those, or will
No.
you keep sticking with that rhyme pattern?
And it varies. That's a rough rule. And generally, I rap in my head with flow. So I'll be like in the shower and I'll be going.
As in no words.
Yeah. So with
Yeah,
words, and
yeah,
I
yeah,
could
yeah,
easily,
like a rhythm.
if the mic's really shit, I've done it before, just messing around. If the mic's really shit and you can't really hear in a rave, I'll just be going. Do you know what I mean?
Scatman John.
Yeah, people have no idea, mate. Do you know what I mean? So that's the first thing for me is pattern and flow. And then that then turns into that kind of syllable pattern. So making a wave, break from the taste, making a shame. Do you know what I mean? Chasing away. And then that's how I'll get into it in my head. And sometimes I'll think, oh, that's a cool pattern actually. I'll write that down. And then later when someone's like, write a tune for me, I'll then go and dig into my phone and go, oh, cool. I wrote down 8 different rhymes of turn to talk. Learn to walk, first to talk. Do you know what I mean? I've written down 8 things of that, and then I think, right, cool, and then I'll build the rest around it. So it's more like almost your first sketch of what it could be, or an idea, or like your notepad of written down, and then I'll turn it into that. It's not always like that. Sometimes I'll have. So I just thought of Turn to Talk, which is a tune I'd come out recently. Actually, that one I had the first line. So we were all just waiting for our turn to talk, and that's the first line I had, and then the rest of it I just wrote underneath it. But quite often
I reckon, isn't that the one about standing in the kitchen?
Yeah, in a kitchen somewhere, 4 a.m. my words were chalked.
Yeah. Sick.
Yeah.
And you said the word comedy as well. Like, definitely pick that up from you. There's that kind of, like you were talking about earlier, like when you first started off, that kind of I can't remember the word you use now, but yeah, there's definitely a comedy element. There's like oh, you said a particular word earlier and it's just gone out of my head.
Obscene.
But yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's it. I was thinking in my head it was obnoxious, but I knew that wasn't the word that you said.
Obnoxious
I'm
as
not
well,
calling
bruv,
you
yeah.
obnoxious.
That's just me, yeah.
But yeah, I get that from you. And there's like a sort of tongue in cheek, like it's not like always super serious, which I enjoy.
Yeah, no, exactly. And often I was like, some people are super serious in it, and I think, ain't that deep, mate. Do you know what I mean? It's just, you know what I mean? It ain't that deep, innit? But yeah, so
it sounds to me. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, those are the combos. That's what I was going to say. The combination of things of, rhyming pattern, flow, and then content with a bit of comedy or a bit of attitude.
Yeah, so it sounds like from the way you break it down there, that it's more about the rhythmical element, and then you play around with the words and you kind of fit it into the rhythm, and you mess about with it and structure it out. So again, obviously, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like what you don't tend to do is try and write like a story or a narrative around like a really fixed concept.
Oh, I could write a tune like that.
Is that fair to say?
I think, yeah, I could write a tune like that. And we have done, again, back in the hip hop times, we did do much more focused tunes about things. And the hip hop tends to be more like that, doesn't it? Like, you'd have something about something, and we had tunes about, in fact, one of the bars that I've got is we had a tune called 1959. So one of the lyrics you would have heard on the flow case, I'm talking about being back in time. Take me back, I beg you, take me back in time. Take me to a place I've never been, like 1959. And we had lyrics about traveling back in time to a different place in a different time, and what it would have been like in the 50s, basically. So that lyric is about something. I wouldn't call it a story lyric necessarily, but there are bars that are more focused around that. And then back in the day, we used to have tunes about girls as well. You'd have
Of interest, what inspired the concept around not like 1959? Was it something specific about that that decade, or
I think it might have been the year Ronnie Scott's was founded. I could be wrong. And my
okay,
mate's
the
granddad
jazz club, so
founded.
like a jazz club, isn't it, in London?
Yeah, yeah. My mate's dad founded Ronnie Scott's. I'm just gonna have a quick Google. Yeah, founded Ronnie Scott's with Ronnie Scott's, with Ronnie Scott even. So I
Wow,
feel like.
because that is quite a particular or specific thing to write about.
Yeah, yeah. I've had people come up to me after a rave and go, "What's yeah?" It was founded in 1959. There we go.
There
So
you
yeah,
go,
that was
sick.
why. I've had people come up to me in a rave afterwards and go, "What is so special to you about 1959?" And I'm like, "Nothing, to be honest. I didn't think anyone was listening."
So they proved you wrong. So
Yeah.
those gigs where you were just standing there doing the Scatman John
What's
bibbity bab thing, they
what does
noticed.
doobie 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 mean, mate? Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it's a really special word to me actually. Um, but yeah, no. So I can write like that, but I don't know, for drum and bass I don't really. I don't know. Like I couldn't go into. It seems silly to me. Now I think about it, to just tell a random little story in the middle of talking about how the heavyweight the bass is and how good the club is, and do you know what I mean? How sick the tunes are, and then talking about little Johnny who got involved in the crack scene. Do you know what I mean? Like that's what it'd end up being, innit? It'd be some Plan B talking about Mr. Drug Dealer. But yeah,
get ya. No, that does make sense. It's almost like doing the right thing for the right time, isn't it? I was talking about this morning. Like, what do you think about the concept of it's not what you say, it's the way that you say it? From obviously like the MC context that we're talking within.
like 100%. I suppose to a degree, innit? Like there's got to be a tipping point of that's pure shite. But like if you deliver things in a good enough way, like I always wonder there'll be, I reckon 20% of people listen to lyrics. I reckon that's a good number in it. I reckon 20% of
Do you mean
people.
in a rave or just
Nah, I mean
in
in
general? Really?
yeah, in
Yeah.
general. I mean maybe not if
20%.
it's pop songs and they've heard it a load of times, but like maybe I do mean in a rave. I don't know, but like I just
Interesting
think
one. Yeah. Just,
'cause I
just if
don't. I'm
someone's
not.
sitting there.
I'm not a lyric listener. I don't really listen. I listen to the sound of the music first. That's what I do. Like I don't know. I don't know the most lyrics in it. Like to most tunes in it. My missus knows the lyrics to every song. She'll hear it once and she'll sing in the intricate bits of the background vocalist on the chorus. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, what is that tune even about? Innit? I don't know. I hear the music first, but particularly in a rave, innit? I don't know whether people do or not. Do you hear lyrics first in a song?
Yeah, man. I think I'm just reflecting on it now. Yeah,
Mm.
I'm definitely a lyrics person. Yeah, especially with I'm talking more about MC based music,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah, sure.
yeah, I'm listening to because I was gonna say back in the day, but maybe even now still, like I'm kind of more bothered about the MC than I'm. Is this true? I don't know. Like I was gonna say, I'm more bothered about the MC than I'm about the music,
Mm.
but that probably isn't true because I think like back in the day, I keep flipping saying that. Back in the day, like the music was less. It was so much more. Lots of different sounds were in a melting pot, so you could listen to. And the music was always of a fairly decent vibe, so
Yeah, yeah,
therefore I was just locked into the MCs. Whereas now, in most genres, really, like everything's so pigeonholed into
yeah, yeah.
very set little brackets that there's certain pockets of that genre or this genre that I can't fucking stand. So even if there was a sick MC with wicked bars and flow, I probably couldn't listen to it because the music's too jarring. Does that make
What's
sense?
the jarring? What's the jarring stuff these days?
Jarring,
Yeah.
just like anything along the lines of for my personal taste, they're like what people probably would call like bro step EDM
Yeah,
esque
yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
stuff.
no,
And then
fair.
within the realm of drum and bass, anything that's too screechy, too like mids and like just screech.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And also like anything that's just too noisy. I like the space. Within grime, hip hop, D&B, I
Yeah,
just like
yeah,
the
yeah, for
space.
sure, for sure. And
You know.
the main depth of the best music is always in the deep section, in it, not in the middle.
Yeah.
And then again, with vocalists, that's where the vocalist sits, in it. So the beat should be down below and up top. You know what I mean? Should be heavy in the
Yeah, yeah.
bass weight and clicky up the top, and then leaving a nice
Yeah.
bit of space for the vocals.
And the reason I asked you that about the whole the philosophy, if you like, of it's not what you say, it's the way that you say it. I was listening to, God, was it this morning? It feels like flipping a long time ago. I think it
Because
was
you
this
get up
morning.
at 4 a.m, mate. But
I know, mate. This is late for me. Yeah, I was listening to D Double, and I think a great example. This is probably a good example of what I was saying, or what I was thinking to myself. Anyways, that really, when I listen to D Double, and I really listen,
he's talking waffle, innit?
it's quite, well, I wouldn't say it's talking waffle, but the content is quite. It's quite repetitive in the sense that he's not really saying anything different.
No.
Like from a lot of his tunes, like he's not really lyrical content wise. It's not really that different from maybe previous tunes. But every time I listen to him, I just think, oh my God, like this is one of the sickest MCs
sick,
to ever come out of the UK.
But he's
Like originality, flow, the way he sounds is untouchable. But if you want to break down what he's saying, okay, it's not really like anything mind blowing, but it just sounds sick. And he's like, yeah, he's up there with the greats. Do you know what I mean? And it just made me think, like, okay, like, does it even really matter? What? And then it made me think, if I said what he's saying, if I said his bars, it just would not hit the same, because it just doesn't have all the other elements that make it sound sick. So it's not. And then it made me think, okay, it's not actually about the content, then, is it? It's about the way you perform it. It's about the swagger. It's about the maybe the aesthetic as well, to a degree. So yeah, that's what made me think of it.
With Double E. I've shortened his name from DWE to Double E. Like he's my mate, yeah. You know, Double E, with DWE, there's that element of nostalgia as well, because you've heard those sounds across the years in it. Whereas if somebody else came and did that now, you go, what's that rubbish in it? But because it's him, and they built over years and years of you hearing that noise, and then he adds new stuff into that same style, that really, really adds to that feeling, I think, anyway. Because I completely agree with you. Like lyrically, I mean, but what is sick in it about lyrics? That's the other thing. What is really, really cool? Is it because you'd find people that listen to grime or hip hop, but for the realness, right? So, you know, somebody talking about selling drugs, they really need to have done it. They really need to, and that's a lot of what rap and grime music is. They need to. If they said they've been in prison, they ain't been in prison, or they only went in prison for 2 years. You know, this guy's realer. He's done 10 years. You know, and I think, but that's nothing to do with actually having bars, is it? Like, are you listening to that person because of their persona then? Do you know what I mean? So what is sick when it comes to it? Or is it that actually their wordplay is really, really cool, and they've managed to write a whole verse using just the letter A to start their words? Do you know what I mean? What's all of those things are cool.
So yeah, I guess
angles.
that's a really interesting take on it, and I guess really then it comes down to the listener to interpret it accordingly. Because it's a good point. Like
listen to Bugsy Malone, right? Bugsy Malone is a really good example. He's not really doing much wordplay wise. His style and pattern ain't particularly different or anything like that. He's mostly just talking about being a naughty geezer.
Yeah.
And that's it, isn't it? And people love it. And
people connect with his story then. They connect with his, you said, the word persona, his story, what he represents.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think that's the same with someone like Giggs?
Yeah, but Giggs has the same thing as what I just said about my rhyming patterns. Very, very different style, but he's got a rhyming pattern. If you listen back to Giggs now, go and listen to any Giggs song, he's picked a rhyming pattern. He's picked 2 words or 2 syllables that rhyme, and writes his whole verse that has that syllable. That has that. That's how he picks it. You can tell he goes, right, yeah, cool. I'm just gonna, and then he's got a big swagger in between it, innit? Like he's got much more swagger than someone like Bugsy Malone does, to me anyway. Listening to, I never used to like Giggs actually, and only in more recent years. But when I used to listen to him, Giggs would come on and do my head in. But now I really, really like him. It's funny how it changes, isn't it?
And I think, we're specifically talking about Giggs. I think he just he was like, I'm not trying to say. he represented like a certain movement. I think people hold him in such high regard because he just did something different at the right time, and it kind of spawned a next generation of sound within like UK rap. Do you know what? I've never really listened that much to him.
Mm.
Maybe
Yeah,
I'm going to
he's a
go and listen to a Gigs album after this and break it down.
That'll put you to sleep nicely, mate. That's just to listen in before bed, isn't it? Some good classic gigs, mate.
So I feel like we could definitely talk about all this kind of stuff for a lot longer.
Yeah.
But I'm conscious that it is way past my bedtime, and it must be way past your bedtime, right? You've got like a really young daughter. Like, you must be knackered.
Nah, bruv. That's what I do, man. That's what I do, man. No, I do. I actually slept in a little bit today. I didn't go to work today because I'm ill, innit? So I didn't wake up till like maybe 8 or something like that today. So I've only been up 13 hours, mate. Got hours to go yet.
Mate, and your commitment, not feeling too tough, but you've come to do the podcast, so big up.
Yeah, I still work. I've still been into London and that, and I've still been about today. Yeah, but,
soldier.
Yeah.
So, okay, like we kind of touched on, let's wrap up by getting into Bars Club. I'd like you to tell people what Bars Club is all about and how you came up with the concept, really.
So I suppose what it is a collective of MCs with an idea of building a community amongst specifically drum and bass MCs on the minimal or deeper corner of drum and bass. So not your big jump up MCs, which already have strong collectives and already have a really strong presence on the jump up side of things. But on the deeper side, and trying to build a sense of community among MCs in an area where generally MCs are a strong afterthought and don't have too much connection or community, because you might go and do, say if me and you were on a night, you'd do 2 hours, I'd do 2 hours. So I'd turn up after you'd started and you've left. We'd meet on stage and you'd left by the time I've gone. We'd never talk, whereas DJs have the green room either side. Generally, they're quite often that's how it works with MC. So the plan was that it was me and this guy called Fokus who discussed the idea together. Yeah, and it started as a WhatsApp group basically. We spoke at the time, didn't we, about how we can go about doing that and building that sense of community. That was the first conversation I think we had about it, was about building something like that. And I just said, right, let's start a WhatsApp group where we can chuck everybody in. People can share ideas. They can discuss being an MC and all of the kind of stuff that we've chewed the fat on today, isn't it? Like, rhyming patterns, about the difficulties. People can have a whinge as well, which is what most of these things tend to up being. Although a particular group hasn't been whingy, has it? Really, it's been quite productive.
No, I don't think you see it. It's not a whingy one.
No.
I mean, you're right in the sense that we initially talked about it, but my involvement in it, like you've pushed this forward. You've picked up the baton and run with it, so to speak. I don't deserve any particular credit other than we had a discussion about, what would be some cool things we could do to kind of like, we're both into the MC culture and especially within the D&B niche that you just described. So yeah, I think that this is your project that you've really moved
in my
forwards.
head. You certified it to lots of MCs. Do you know what I mean? Because I've done a few bits, but you've been doing this 20 years. Do you know what I mean? You're a tier one drum and bass MC, yeah. So for other people going, if it's like, oh, we are at P's, yeah, I've seen you on one lineup, you want to start something, do you? Oh, cool. And I go, yeah, but Fokus is doing it as well. And they go, oh, cool. I mean, not that it ever went like that, but in my mind, you justified it and rubber stamped it as something that's green lit by someone who's dead certified, which you are. So that was always as much of a help as I needed, really. Beyond that, you've got to know over the last year or so, I just like to do things in it. I don't like to double check or ask too much in it. I just get on with it and
you don't mess about.
Get going with it. So
you definitely don't mess about. So you've taken it from the initial kind of WhatsApp community, people posting. Well, no, you tell the listeners like what
The WhatsApp group.
When someone joins Bars Club, what do they have to do? Tell them about that.
So the WhatsApp group started small, and it was probably 20 original members in there, and each person put in a verse that they'd recorded a face-to-camera video of a few bars, and that became an initiation process. So anybody new added in has to deliver a verse to camera, so that it's almost a way of saying that anybody's welcome in the group. The minimum that you have to be able to do is to be able to spit a verse. So it means that people who are entry level get tested. You know, people that are coming up or want to get involved can do it. They're tested to a degree, and really, really big certified MCs have to show that they'll do that as well. And you know, nobody avoids that, albeit. So that's how it started, and doing that initiation 16 bars worked really well over the year or so it's been going in. I think there's 60,
and it keeps everyone on the same level, like you kind of just said, really. Like it's that, whether you're at this stage in your career or this, that, the other, whatever you want to call it, like everyone comes in and does their initiation, and we're on the same level. We're just MCs that want to spit.
Still waiting for Pavans, actually, from Foreign Beggars. He ain't done his yet. I'm going to message him, actually, and say, where's your 16 bars, mate? That was
wicked.
It got me gas when I put him in there the other day. I'm sure he was just half cut at 3 a.m, wherever he was, just going, yeah, it sounds like a great idea, mate. And he's woke up in the morning and go, what's this WhatsApp group?
But how many people are in the group now?
Yes, I think it's about 60, something like that. But that was my favourite thing that we've done. I mean, the Insta and the event and that, we'll see how that goes, and the Instas, an Instagram account, really. But the coolest thing was those first maybe like 6 months of the WhatsApp group, where it was buzzing in there, and every day I'd wake up and there's a new freestyle in there, or somebody's shown in a video or a tune, and you had to like Loki said, off the back of that group, it was the first time we'd done a face-to-camera recording video, because other people were doing it and he'd seen that you could do it. And that's a geezer who's toured with Goldie for 10 years. Do you know what I mean? Who's been in the scene since his very beginnings. It Randall's MC of choice, Spy's MC of choice, Goldie's MC for however many years. And he's gone, oh yeah, off the back of this WhatsApp group, I've actually just done a face-to-camera video and recorded it, because, you know, I could see that it's done. And when he told me that, I thought, mate, that's mad.
Yeah, wicked.
And then likewise, we had like Butty come down to to the meet up and record a freestyle, and they'd never done that before, off the back of these groups. Like,
yeah, that was
really,
sick.
Really cool things like that.
And he got on a train, like he literally came from like
Southampton,
a couple of hours away, just got on a flipping train, came to the link up. Just so people know, for the context, you put a thing out to the group saying, right, we're going to be at this spot in London on this day at this time. Anyone that wants to come down, hit me up, and you're going to have a professional cameraman there recording the freestyles. So like big up to you for doing that. And then this guy, Butty, shout out to him. He jumped on the train from Southampton.
And he didn't even tell anyone.
On his own.
Yeah, he didn't tell anyone he was coming either. He never said he was coming. He just turned up and he's going, "You're right, lads." And then I was like, "Are you going to record a video?" I'm not sure, like nervous. Do you know what I mean? He's just watched Fokus do one. He's just watched Manmas do one. And then he's just gone, "Yeah, all right, yeah, I'm going to do it." And then went and done it first time, one take.
And it was wicked. Yeah, he smashed
sick,
it.
Yeah.
And he smashed it like,
and then
clean.
Off he went home. And things like that are what's really cool. And during that time period of the WhatsApp group being buzzing, I thought it was so cool. And then just over time, it goes for a couple of quiet days, or someone ain't looked at it for a week or something like that, and you've got 800 messages in there, and then you get it on archive. And I reckon now probably most people have got it on archive. But anyway, it is what it is. That was the coolest time for it, I think. And it will be a struggle to get it back to that, because all of the core people won't be listening to it now, or just ignore it. But that was the coolest thing. And then off the back of that, I started the Instagram account, which I was just sharing videos on of MCs, and it's pretty generic stuff. And then we started recording those freestyles off the back of that. And like you said, on that day, recording those 3-2-1 videos, which is 32 bars, one take. They were definitely all one take, weren't they?
Yeah. The definition of one take is open to some artistic license.
In it. But yeah.
If people want to check out the Instagram, what's the Instagram?
It's just at Bars Club D&B. If you want to go.
Bars Club D&B.
Yeah.
And what if someone's listening to this? I know for a fact there's I don't like using the term up and coming, but like I can't think of a better
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
to replace it with. So like, I know there's up and coming MCs because they've reached out to me and said they like the podcast. If they're
Mm,
listening to this one,
mm.
which of course they will be, and they're thinking, boom, Bars Club, this sounds like a bit of me. Like
Well, yeah,
what can they
just
do?
they can message me or you or message the Bars Club page. So and just say I want to get involved, and I'll literally just chuck you in the group, and you've just got to do a little face to cam video,
Yeah,
and then from there. It's not as buzzing as it was, but stuff is still going in there. People are putting their tunes in there. It is used as many things as a soundboard for new music, as a promotional tool as well. So people will chuck a link in there with, an Instagram link and just say, can people go on here and give it a share for me, stuff like that. So it's a useful thing, even though it's not as buzzing as it was in the beginning. And if that sounds interesting to you, you like drum and bass and you're an MC, then for sure reach out. There's no other qualification than that. Do you know what I mean? You can have no tunes, you can have 1 16-bar verse,
yeah.
as long as you can.
Everybody's welcome.
Yeah, exactly. As long as you can jump in front of a camera, and that might be the most testing thing. But if you pass that test, then brilliant. It's all upwards from there, isn't it? And if nothing else,
Yeah,
you can
but
learn and watch other people's tunes and understand what's going on.
no, big up, man. I
Mm.
rate what you're doing. You're repping the culture and just giving people like something to connect with and something to, sharpen their skills. Right, whether
Yeah,
you've
exactly.
been MCing for a month or 2 decades, whatever. Like we can all do with sharpening our skills. So Friday the 6th of June,
That's it, mate.
Bars Club touches down in London for the first full on event. Right, what's happening?
Yeah, so Bars Club Live is what I've gone with, and the theme was to be an MC led lineup, and so yeah, the real core elements are that the MCs are in the spotlight, and the MC brings their DJ. So we spoke earlier about being chucked in with a random DJ and having to work that out. Say hello over the decks at 100 decibels or whatever. This time we're bringing your DJ down. So I know you're bringing XS, your DJ and mate for however many years. I'm bringing 4 Points Dean from Engage, who I was talking about earlier, who I lived with for 10 years. As a good example of the type of combination, so that people are coming down and the DJ is there to complement the MC, and the MC is obviously still working towards the music. So I suppose if you heard about this MC led lineup, you might think it's going to be a shout fest and just people shouting oggy 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 all night long, and it's obviously not going to be that. It's still individual sets, one DJ and one MC doing individual sets, just with an idea of focusing on that MC. And then it's got an open mic cipher at the end, just so it can get a bit lively for the last 45 minutes, half an hour, however long we've got left. And people that are up and comers, as you say, that, I don't have to be up and comers. Anybody that's there can jump on and do a 16 or a 32 bar at the end. We've got a sick DJ, Maximus, who's going to do that, chop up the last bit and let people just, free roam on the mic and, give people an opportunity to get stuck in if they've been there at the end of the night. If you've been one of the people begging for the mic at previous raves, there's your opportunity to get down there and show what you got. And look, if anybody's sick, there'll be a room full of MCs there that will show you, and DJs and label owners and all sorts are going to be down there. So yeah, that's another little cool element of it. It's in a little basement club I went and checked out earlier. Big Function One sound system in there. Should be cool, mate. Proper stage, lit up. It's a nice little space, It's not too big, not too small.
And it's around the back of near King's Cross train station, isn't it, in
so
London?
I literally got into King's Cross earlier. It's a 5-minute walk up behind it. Like, you walk up next to the new Google building, and it's like the other side of that, the other side of just up past the canal. It's it's a nice little, basically a dungeon venue in a pub, innit?
Sick.
Yeah, man.
So again, if people are listening to this and they're thinking, yeah, that sounds like a bit of me, I want to come and get involved in the open mic cipher at the end, is it literally just a case of they just rock up?
Yeah, so follow the page. It depends how much interest we get in it, really. I'm thinking of doing a registration for it early, but I'm in two minds about it. These kind of things I'll work out a bit nearer the time, but most important thing to do, follow the page, grab a ticket. The tickets are on a pay what you can afford basis. So there's not ticket brackets. I'm not trying to pump early birds have sold out already. Do you know what I mean? All of that usual rubbish. They're what you can afford. So there's different brackets: £3, £6, £10 and £20 or something like that, and whatever you can afford, what you want to pay, you can buy. So you can just buy one for £3 if you want. Come down, get down there early to make sure that you do get registered. But if you follow the page, then you'll get updated on exactly how that works. And then, like I say, you can jump on, go and see some acts beforehand, get in the mood, have a few drinks, and then get a bit of liquid courage in there if that's your thing, and get up there and jump on the mic on some drum and bass.
Yeah, man. I'm really looking forward to this. I think I love the concept. How we essentially spun it on its head, like you said, MC led lineup, which is it makes a difference because the MC gets that bit more control over the music, and you're essentially that the selection getting played is going to bring out the best in you, whatever that may be, as a performer and as an MC. So yeah, sick. I'm and as soon as you said small dungeon venue, boom.
Yeah,
you're talking my language right there, so I'm looking forward to this.
Like, we'll get it dark in there. We'll get it, apart from because where there's a stage in the corner, we'll light the stage up, and then I think no other lights in there other than the bar. Do you know what I mean? Just dark, moody. I think I should have a smoke machine or something similar. Do you know what I mean? We'll get it grime in there, because what you don't want to do, you can go the other way of having it as a showcase and a music showcase, and a sat down listening to the song, or do you know what I mean? More of a concert vibe.
Yeah, so it's more like it's informal, it's casual.
Yeah.
It's a bit more rough, rugged, and raw.
Yeah, exactly. I still want that feeling of what we love about the music, that underground vibe, but just to focus on the MCs, not away from the DJ. I focus on the combination. That's what it really is. Like, I'm almost actively leaning towards the bar side, but really it's about that combination, in it, how that MC and the DJ work together, and highlighting the MCs.
Yeah, absolutely, man, absolutely. Right, there's one thing that I like to ask my guests at the end of the episode. Actually, there's two, really. There's two, but anyway, the first thing is, just want to put you on the spot and ask, what would be your ultimate MC cipher? So let me just give you the parameters, okay? 5 MCs, dead, alive, past, present, whatever, any genre. Well, really, that's it. Carte blanche, 5 MCs. You're putting them together, and it's your dream cipher. Who would you put in it?
I saw you post about it the other day, and I thought, I'll have a think about that later, and I haven't. Right, so Kano, he's my favourite UK MC. Eminem, it's Eminem, innit? I don't know. The thing is, if I'm going down that route of it's my favourite MCs, then I would say that it's SP, but I don't necessarily want to hear him in a cypher with these boys. I don't know why. It doesn't really.
I don't know, man. I reckon that would be quite sick.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't really. I don't know.
No, it's not.
I don't know. I'm trying to think.
You're going to put him in or not? I'm not like I'm trying to pressure
Breaker.
you, but
I'm going Breaker, Code Breaker.
Yeah, okay.
from drum and bass. And then it's tough, innit? I don't know. Chipmunk.
Whew. Chip, come on.
Chipmunk, mate. And me. And not just because I want to be involved, innit?
No, actually, I'm going to make a new rule. Like, you can't put yourself in it.
I'm gonna 5 minutes after this, I'm gonna think, oh my God, why didn't I think?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, everyone will.
I don't know. Who did you pick in yours? I haven't listened to that show yet.
Can't bloody remember now. I said, right, I did Wiley, Stevie Hyper, Skinny Man, Bounty Killer, and Old Dirty Bastard.
Yeah. I'm thinking maybe Cass is dead.
Okay. Jeez, yeah, come on.
Cass is dead or Skittles.
Skittles, wow.
Yeah,
Skittles.
I'm gonna. Do you know what? I'll get rid of I get rid of
It's
Breaker.
getting techie now.
I get rid of Breaker. And I'll have Cassie's Dead and Skittles. Sorry, Al, mate.
Oh, mate.
It's
Joke.
funny, innit? I was just gone and not picked anybody in drum and bass, innit?
I love the way that we start. We've just done another big loop back round. We started about how Codebreaker brought you into the thing, and now you just booted him out of your ultimate sci-fi. You sure you want to do this?
Yeah. He don't
Right,
want it anymore anyway. He's sick of it. He's told me himself.
Right, okay, so just a recap for
Just
my
don't
benefit and the
clip this
listeners.
bit
Kate,
up, Phil, yeah. Don't clip this
this is
bit
the
up.
first clip. I'm going to tag him in as well. Kano, Eminem,
Yeah.
Cass is Dead,
Yeah.
Chipmunk, and Skittles.
It's dangerous, that.
Jeez. Yeah, man, that's vibes.
Who else would go in there as well? I'm thinking about it now. Do you know JK from Birmingham? He's a
Yeah.
He's a
Well, you
JK.
can't. Well,
I know. Anyway,
you can't.
I'm gonna message you.
He's honorary member. If one of those people is ill that day,
yeah,
you'll give JK a ring.
yeah.
Right.
Socks as well. Oh, mate, there's so many.
Oh no, you got to stop now. You can't have that's 7 names. So yeah, they're all sick. Sick. Yeah, nice little variety of flavours there. Right, okay, going to sign out in a minute. I'm going to put you on the spot for the second time. Acapella 16. You on it?
16, yeah. I'm always ready, mate. I'm always ready. 16, though. What do you mean 16? 16 drum and bass or 16 hip hop? Or just when I get bored?
Oh, you confused me with all this malarkey last time. I don't know. Now you put me on it. I'm not even sure. Look, I'm not really bothered like how many bars it is. I just want to hear you spit something a cappella, whatever duration of bars feels good for you. That's cool with me.
So I let this music paint a picture. It's all my memories described in an instant. Every detail, every fitting, every fixture, every face of every miss and every mister, emotions of each loss and every victor. These vibrations intense, they're off the Richter. It's like that feeling of the first time that you kissed her, or that thumping of your heart against the kick drum when that place is getting ripped up. It's like a vortex, we're just twirling in a twister. Bass up in my heart, got these feelings getting kicked up. Put my arm around my brothers and my sisters and watch me disappear into the distance. And we turn this picture to a masterpiece. Think a Mozart composing to a faster beat. The competition inside raised the bar for me. Hearing simple music formats turning into artistry. But we don't miss to hit the bullseye like his archery. You can hear the tools I keep and sharpened in the armory. I live in brief drums. Bass pumps through my arteries. I swear you best believe this ain't the peak. It's just the start for me.
Yo, mate. Yeah.
Read straight from the phone. Prepared.
Come on. Yeah, no, don't watch that. We're not bothered about all that. Mate, yeah, I really like that bit about, that line again, the archery, flowing through the artery bit. I like that.
Yeah, what is it? But we can't miss, we hit the balls I like his archery. You should hear the tools I keep him sharpened in the armory. Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, it's a good one. That come out on a tune on Rebel a little while ago. It's just one of them ones that kind of, I had 2 vocal tunes on the same EP, and it just kind of fell by the wayside a little bit. You know,
it went over people's heads a bit.
Do you ever look back and think, oh, I wish I could like redo those lyrics on that on a different tune, or one that comes back a big hitter or something? But I can't go, oh, do me a favour, make a new version of it. They go, no, it's 10 hours work for me. You recorded your vocals 2 years ago. Do you know what I mean?
Bruv, I totally relate to that. What you're saying there. So how many bars was that? That was 16 bars.
No,
right?
that was, I don't know.
32.
It was 16 at hip hop speed, but it was 32
I still don't like.
speed.
I don't care if this makes me sound a bit thick or whatever. I still don't really fully get when you were trying to break down to me.
Well, because hip hop's at 80.
Was it someone else? No, it was someone at Bars Club.
Hip
Was
hop's
it
at
you?
85 BPM.
Losing the plot.
And
Yeah.
then, so if it's 85 BPM, it's half the speed of 170. Isn't it?
Yeah.
So 170 is twice the speed of hip hop. So you'll be so shorten the amount, isn't it?
I need to. I know, man. Like it's not a complicated concept, is it? The mathematics, but
it's just twice
until
the amount.
You told me it, or I don't even feel like it was you. Though, until someone said, but maybe it was you. Until I was introduced to this thing, I'd never in my whole life MCing for over 25. I'd never even thought that was a thing. I thought a 16 was a 16.
Yeah, well,
So
it's funny, isn't it? Because
I
then
think I need to sit down with a hip hop tune and then sit down and do those lyrics then over a drum and bass tune. Then then it will click and I'll be like, the penny's just dropped.
Yeah, because if you go and do a full verse on a hip hop tune, it's like, you're getting towards the end, you're thinking, fucking hell, I've been writing for ages here. Whereas a 16 on drum and bass is just your little intro, isn't it? But yeah.
Yeah, interesting, man. Mate, definitely I could keep talking to you all night, but let's wrap it up there for now. Big up.
Man.
Thank you for coming on to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, mate.
Really, really enjoyed hearing your story and just all the stuff around the insights around the writing, and your obvious passion for this whole culture expressed through what you're doing with Bars Club is sick. So, yeah, is there anything you want to plug again or drop in before we sign up?
If anybody's listened to 2 hours 13, they surely would have gone and followed Bars Club D&B by now, or my own Instagram, which is just Peas Raps. Just give it a follow, and then from there, you get inundated with adverts and promos and flyers and all of that stuff. But online, if you want to go find that, you can go find it. But yeah, if you're interested in any of that kind of thing, just go give those 2 pages a follow, or one or the other, and come down to the event on June the 6th if you can make it to London that day. That's it.
Yeah, man. Wicked. Well, if you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple, you can watch the video on YouTube. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can listen on Spotify and Apple. So
magic. Do
all the usual stuff that podcast people say, like, follow, subscribe, share, because, it helps. And appreciate your ears. Thank you for listening. Back with another episode next week. But in the meantime, big up Peas.
Yeah, big up yourself, bro.
And from me, we're out.